Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back, guys. So we are here with another week. A little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh news, a little bit of like Pokemon news, a little bit of Magic news. There's a lot
There's a
actually.
lot of there's a lot of random things. At least if in my pocket, I got a lot of the
Oh,
random stories.
okay, yeah, good. I've got a few. There've been like just many tournaments and announcements and just things, but all of that can wait until people first leave a one in the chat if you're watching the YouTube
Premier
premiere.
gang, rise up.
We would certainly appreciate that. Also, got another review, of course. Always got to read out these. So, this one comes to us once again from Apple Podcasts. It says A plus podcast. It's from
Hey,
Dom99957. So,
appreciate you, Dom 99957.
I love this podcast. I go on a run every day and I listen to this while running. It's very entertaining and interesting. I don't have a local card shop near me, so I always like to hear about locals and duel experiences. I've only ever dueled family and friends, so I'm a casual player, but I do play an Exodia Millennium deck. I found out about the pod through Team APS about a month ago, and I've been enjoying since.
Shout outs to Millennium players.
Yeah, something cool about the Millennium stuff actually is that it's been seeing some play in the metagame, mostly just
That's
for
not
being.
cool.
Yeah, it's mostly just for being like free special summons, but
I knew you were gonna say that. I was like, nope, not cool at all.
the concept is cool. No, but the Exodia Millennium stuff is neat. I feel like it didn't get as much fanfare as the Yugi Shining Sarcophagus deck, but I think that is
So
similarly
I
fun.
think it's because the Millennium monsters are relatively unknown. They're very old niche cards that only people that are around in the elden days of Yu-Gi-Oh are familiar with the references that they're making.
Right? Yeah, that's true. You really would have to know about like what is the guy that's what's the name of the vanilla card that they retrained
You're
that like
talking about
people.
Synergen, the
Yeah,
Millennium
Syningen.
collecting
Yeah, it
guy.
holds all the Millennium items and yeah. So that's true. It's very obscure stuff.
Like while Yugi's Shining Sarcophagus deck, those are his greatest hits. A lot of these are monsters we've seen time and time again, and now they're being printed in a way that actually works.
But yeah, thank you for the 5-star review. We always appreciate that on any podcast platform that you're listening to. Goes a long way. And of course, if you are watching the premiere on YouTube, then the equivalent to that would be
To
a
leave a
thumbs up.
like,
Yeah, a thumbs up. It helps. It really does. It makes YouTube share the video with more people so you can get more viewership, listenership, and the works. Also, before we get into the stories, I do have a small announcement, which is that we will be at Anime NYC this weekend.
that's right.
So if you guys are going to be at that event, in Manhattan and New York, we'll be there all 3 days. They apparently have a gaming room, so you might be able to spot us, intermittently there throughout the
Might
weekend.
bring some cards, might play a few games. You never know.
Yeah, we'll certainly have cards and decks, and also I'm gonna try to be recording at least one or two videos there because we're supposed to be there like with media passes. So gotta try to make use of that.
Media's got a media.
But yeah, I would love to meet you guys there. It'll be me, Alec, and also Alex will be with us. So fun times. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, actual Yu-Gi-Oh news must ensue.
That's right.
What to
It's an
start with?
exciting week for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, there's a few things. I guess we should start with YCS Sacramento.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was this past weekend in Sacramento, California. It was a smaller YCS event than
It
people.
had less hype than expected.
Yeah, a smaller YCS event than people expected. This event only had 915 players, which seems especially bizarre for a regional in California because those are typically some of the, or not regional, feels like a regional, YCS in California because those are typically the largest. But
Yeah, they have a very large player base out there.
worth noting that this is NorCal as opposed to SoCal, so apparently the Yu-Gi-Oh is a little bit less active there, but also, if I'm remembering correctly, Sacramento was only announced a couple of weeks back, like a few weeks ago, and that could maybe explain why people didn't have enough time and stuff to prepare for the event. What do you think?
So I think they were waiting on another announcement.
Oh yeah, a ban list.
That's what they really want.
It is a pretty awkwardly placed event, isn't it? Like it's just the Yu-Gi-Oh! The nationals are done, right? Like
Yep.
US, EU, all the major nationals from other territories are all done. And then Konami has said that we will get a ban list in late August. So it's kind of like, well, you know, uh, what?
It's so, it's so weird, right? Because in a sense, because all of the the qualifiers are done, this would be the first YCS of a new season, but it's still playing with the same ban list as the qualifiers were.
And it's playing under the pretense that there will be a new list. Like it's been
Yeah,
said. So it's
like
not
in
just
a
a matter
week.
of, yeah, like literally we will probably, if it's not out by the time, you're listening to this, we will very more than likely have like a new ban list by like next Monday or something. And so it's kind of like, would I even want to compete in this admittedly kind of stale feeling format for many people? So, yeah, it's
I mean, that didn't stop Jesse Cotton, now did it?
yeah, it doesn't change the fact that Jesse Cotton was the winner. Congratulations to him. This is his 6th YCS win. Although he has had many, many, many more, tops and finals placings and things like that. He
He
also
said
won.
950 players.
Yeah,
Light work.
yeah, easy peasy. He won first place with, you guessed it, Fiend Smith Snake Eye. Woo!
Yay!
It's everybody's favorite deck. And Fiend Smith Snake Eye took up 18 spots in the top 32, so slightly more than half.
As expected. As expected.
That's followed by 8 Ubel decks in the top 32.
I'm guessing they all played Fiendsmith too.
Yeah, and then 2 Tenpai Dragon, 2 Runic, a White Forest, and a Memento deck. So
And the Memento deck, I believe, also played
Fiendsmith.
Fiendsmith. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of decks are. It is like that's the engine right now. Now the finals, interestingly enough, were Snake Eye versus Tenpai Dragon. I watched most of the finals actually. I don't know if you saw it. It was a little unfortunate. The Tenpai player ended up like activating a second Molcharmy card, and it ended up like making it where Jesse could use triple tactics talent, and it just kind of went downhill from there. But yeah, so certainly not probably the most like interesting or exciting YCS. A predictably good player won it. The predictably best deck won it and made the most amount of attendance. And a ban list is coming up, so
I think that's kind of the most important. I mean, it's good that people competed, someone won. And I'm proud of them, and that's their accomplishments. But that YCS in the grand scheme of things is not important to the Yu-Gi-Oh player base, right?
Yeah, it's
Like,
not one that I think a lot of people are, I mean, Jesse can
it'll
obviously
be
put this one on his trophy wall, but like I think that's for the average kind of competitive person, they're like, yeah, I'm just hold out until new
it's like,
format.
the first YCS is after the ban list. Now that
Yeah, that
people are
that's
going to be
gonna pretty heated.
ravenous. Though I have noticed a sentiment online, and it's completely unwarranted, and it's one of my issues with our community at large. There are people looking for Fiendsmith hits on this ban list.
Yeah, I guess this is a good time to kind of, we don't really talk about the ban list very much on this podcast because I'm going to be honest, I hardly care.
I mean, we
But-
don't do ban list predictions.
But if I had to
But-
say something, it's Fiendsmith. It's a little soon to expect it to get hit.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a shame that we're saying that because what that's really saying is that we're so used to this treatment from Konami where we know new cards don't get really hit very often. But, there is precedence for it. Like,
I mean, it has happened.
even like last, or like year before last, like with the Pearly deck, they hit like Sleepy Memory or Happy Memory or whatever to like one. A couple
Well,
of
that didn't stop me from getting beat by the deck in tournament.
Well, yeah, but like it's just it's an instance of they will hit decks pretty quickly. Super Heavy Samurai kind of similar.
Whew, they smoked that deck.
Yeah, so they could do it. What my suspicion would just be that they'll like hit cards like Fabled Lurie or maybe Beatrice because those are the cards that like the Fiendsmith engine is most often abusing. So
Poor Beatrice. If only Beatrice had some type of a lock on her. But
yeah, they really. I don't know if they're gonna errata her or what, because it's like Beatrice. she kind of pops up every few formats with like a new thing that she can pitch and a combo she can enable, and it's kind of like she'll probably just have to go one day. Just, you know.
It's funny
Might be
because
today.
she's so much like Lavalval Chain, where Konami said no, this card can't exist. I know we printed it, but it can't.
Yeah, it brings me back to what I oftentimes say, which is that like at this point, Konami knows what they're making. Like they know that Engraver and that engine can make like Beatrice easily. So they were certainly aware. It just comes down to like, were they aware enough to be like, okay, we'll print this Fiendsmith stuff anyway, and then it's fine. We'll ban Beatrice later. So I don't know.
It's a lot like the Diablosis Mind Hacker thing with Kashtira.
Yep, same energy.
Like, these cards didn't just so happen to be perfectly synergistic in just about
Yeah.
every way.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that it's unfortunate. I don't know. I always hate when like old cards have to get hit for the cause, but those would probably be the two that will take the fall for
Because there's always somebody's pet deck that completely relied on like the one good old card to keep their deck alive.
yeah. And maybe even you could say that, well, like, okay, if your deck was literally like hinging on this obscure one-off like Beatrice thing so that it could play, then maybe your deck is just garbage anyway. I've heard people say that online.
Dang.
I'm not saying that like I agree. I think Konami needs to, still ban the card if it's like a problem, but So.
And it deprives an archetype of one of their main pieces. Now, I don't know many people that actually play BA anymore.
Farfa plays it apparently. Still, I don't know. So speaking of this YCS, this is a good sort of segue into the next thing, which is Jesse Cotton is the first person to win the new prize card. Another verse.
Yeah.
Solaria is our newest prize card.
We got another verse.
So, how are we feeling about this new prize card?
So when I saw it, I immediately thought it looked like that Avita card from the World Chalice lore, the one that kind of Avram turns into. And then when I realized that was not what this card was, all I could think was, why does this exist?
To me, it actually looks like a weird, like, evolved Snake Eye Ash. Like, it just kind of, like, if you actually look at them side by side, they kind of look the same. Not really,
blue
like,
fire, like, reptilian motif-ish. I could see it.
Yeah, and it's a pyro. Fire pyro thing.
It's a pyro. I did not notice it was pyro. They rude for that. They made a pyro. They made a fire pyro.
So something I'm
because they know what this is.
Yeah, they do. And, I mean, I guess it's not meant to be used, but maybe it's meant to represent that this was the year of fire, pyro.
So I wonder what Glutonia would have symbolized then.
Listen, I'm trying to give them credit here because I'm not going to lie, people are not, like, super amused by this new prize card, given the conversations within the community recently around, like, prize support sucks and Konami's got to do better. Why are they still
I can throw them some bail. If Konami was paying attention to the conversations that have been going on in the last 3 months of the game, there would not have been enough time for them to change the prize card.
100%. Same, yeah. I was going to say, these Anotherverse cards were probably all designed, 4 years ago or something. You know what I mean? And they were just okay, each year we're going to release a different Anotherverse card. And maybe this might be the last Anotherverse card, but it was certainly still conceived.
Fingers crossed.
A while back. So this is going to be featured throughout the 2025 YCS season. And, Jesse's got the first one. It's probably worth a good bit. There might even be an argument that, if somebody has all three, that there's some merit to that.
Wait, there are 3 Anotherverse cards?
Yeah, because there was Solaria, Glutonia, and the first one was Anotherverse Dragon or something. This is the third one.
Oh yeah, Anotherverse Dragon. I actually forgot about that one.
Yeah, this is the third one. So, there might be 3 or 4. Yu-Gi-Oh kind of has they tend to do things in 4s.
And they're all a different attribute, right?
Believe so. So,
because Glutonia.
Because Solaria's fire, you can maybe double check what the others are.
Dragon is light.
I'm guessing
And
Glutonia is
Glutonia
dark.
is dark? Yeah,
Probably.
Glutonia is dark. It is dark, yeah.
Maybe the last one would be water. That might be.
As we
Grasping at
enter the
straws here.
age of water.
So, anywho, yeah, it's the new prize card. People aren't pleased. I'm not surprised to see this. I think what I'm more so looking forward to is like what's next with prizing, but we won't know that probably until this time next year when they're,
Ramping up for
revamping.
2026.
Yeah, revamping the prize support thing next August. So, you guys let us know though. I mean, how do you feel about another verse Solaria? It's a new prize thing, and everything else, like we mentioned last week, is still the same. The Nintendo Switch, the messenger
Bet you
bag.
guys can't wait to get one.
Yeah, sometimes it makes me glad I'm not going to these YCS events because I just don't think that any of the prizing speaks to me at all. Like, I'm not professing that, like,
But
I
there's
would
a
just
chance you
win.
could get a Switch OLED.
Is it true that I heard like that rumor that some of them are OLED and some aren't?
I don't know
if
if
that's
it's true, but you have
but
to win one and find out.
yeah, it's like I've already got a Switch. It's like I don't need a Switch. We're gonna get into this in a little bit, but this all stands in like very stark contrast to Pokemon Worlds, which is happening this weekend. But we'll finish the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff before we get into that. But it's just like Pokemon
Yeah.
Worlds, they're winning huge gazoodles of cash, and then like the same weekend we have YCS Sacramento, which is like half the size of what you'd expect. And there was that panic. I saw a picture on Twitter where someone was like, Pokemon Worlds Finals versus like Yu-Gi-Oh Worlds Finals, which they said Worlds, but it's like a YCS. But still, it was as part of the live stream where Jesse, like they're about to start the finals, and like the audience is empty. Like there's like barely anybody watching. Seats are empty. The venue's kind of just damn near cleared out. It's then you compare it to the Pokemon one where there's just like the lights are off and it's just like a huge crowd of people and cool flashing colors and but
I mean, hey, that's what Worlds will be like this year since they won't have an audience.
yeah, I guess that's true. I'm not even gonna get into that. So yeah, that's YCS Sacramento, cool event. Fun, I'm sure, for the people who did attend. I'm sure they had a good time. But I think that the best is maybe still around the corner.
The best is yet to come. In fact, we're going to get the best whenever the Yu-Gi-Oh! 25th anniversary ends.
Whenever it ends. So,
At
next
some point.
news story is Hello Kitty X Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now actually officially at McDonald's. It started on August 20th. So, you can actually go to McDonald's and go and get this meal and get some Hello Kitty figures.
This is what we needed. Sanrio characters and Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters all in one.
They actually released this little cute trailer thing for the announcement of it. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't watch it. I didn't care to.
It's like a 15-second thing. There's really barely anything.
Too long. I don't even watch TikToks longer than 10 seconds.
Wow. Yeah, it's a cool little animation where it's just like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters and the Hello Kitty characters kind of like their worlds get shaken up because they're inside of a Happy Meal and suddenly they're like merged together. I thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah, I think I saw that one of the toys in the European launch is not included in our version of it.
Yeah, Red Eyes. Red Eyes
Yeah.
Black Dragon. That's so bizarre. I wonder why you can't get Red Eyes here. Like, what? Like, and it's the only one.
Maybe they just needed to cut one of the line for like, I don't know, supply and demand reasons or
I guess they
supply
gotta make
chain
sure
reasons.
that Red Eyes just has a quota of L's that it has to take in this game, I think.
It
Like,
does.
It's just you give him shit support, you exclude it from the Happy Meals. That said,
Always
though,
the short end of the stick.
speaking of Red Eyes, just real quick, it's not related to the Hello Kitty thing, but we are getting another alternate art Red Eyes in the tins. They revealed that this week.
Oh, I did see that.
Alt art of Red Eyes Black Dragon and also tuning. So,
I will have it. It must go in my Red Eyes collection.
and there was one other picture I saw that was just that like the packaging for the Hello Kitty meals or the toys is a little different between the U.S. versus like worldwide ones. So in the U.S., you get the kind of like just plastic wrap thing, and in the other places, you get like a box. So
Oh,
it's still
well.
nicer if you don't live here.
Well, it's about, cost cutting, and, we don't really care about the environment as much. So, we'll throw plastic on everything. It don't matter.
I can throw it in a landfill or get caught in a turtle's throat. Either way, yeah, that's Hello Kitty. I'm gonna try to go by McDonald's sometime in the next few days, and I guess see what's up. See if I can maybe which Hello Kitty I get. Will it be Dark
Like,
Magician? Will it be Blue Eyes? Will it be Exodia? Karibo?
the only one I would have had an interest in would have been the Red Eyes. So now I really don't have a reason to try.
Yeah, because it's Dark Magician Blue Eyes, Dark Magician Girl, Karibo, Exodia, Slifer Obelisk, Ra, and Time Wizard for us. So
Like, it's crazy Time Wizard got in before Red Eyes.
well, not before Red Eyes. Just if you're in the U.S., there's just no Red Eyes.
It's
Sorry.
excluded Red Eyes, but Time Wizard made the cut. Yo, wow, then, bro.
Yeah, sucks to suck. So cool. Go grab that from McDonald's. Maybe share it around. Maybe perhaps collect all of them. It would be fun. Okay, next Yu-Gi-Oh thing is, have you seen the updates around the Master Duel Shadow Duelist celebrity mystery tournament thing?
I have watched 2 videos with this very, like, European British sounding knight guy.
Yeah, that's it. When you hear the voice, it does sound very that's like it kind of sounded kind of like British or something.
There's an accent there, maybe
There's-
Australian. I don't know.
There's some accent I can't really make it out, but that maybe narrows down the celebrity guessing a little bit. Like, does that?
Like,
Where do you think that goes?
the problem is we still don't understand the level of celebrity we're working here. This could be anything from a popular streamer to an MCU actor for all we know. Like,
Yeah. So I signed up for the tournament, like I said I would. I did sign up. You had to join this Discord server. It works a lot like the Challenger Cups, if you remember anything
Yep.
about that. And so you join their Discord, you sign up. I was first of all surprised to see that it hasn't been like as popular as I initially expected it to be. The currently there are 383 people signed up out of 500, although apparently the final cap for the tournament is supposed to be something like 750.
only 300?
Yeah, like 383. So that's kind
Was
of
there like a limitation on who could sign up?
yeah. The limitation is U.S. and Canada, which that's another thing that people are kind of not so thrilled about is that like only U.S. and Canada players can play, and there's maybe a little bit of irony there because it sounds like it's probably like a European, celebrity or something.
But wait. We can get more than 300 people at a regional.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of so, oh God, listen, Alec. I was trying to be positive and optimistic and kind of just try to not get too critical of these stories.
This is a podcast, damn it. That's what we're here to do.
I think that I'm not going to say flubbed the marketing with this because that would be kind of rude. I'm interested in like the idea. I think it's a cute, cool like concept, but I don't think people actually know what the fuck is going on. Like I actually don't think I'm not even like, do you get what I mean? Like I don't think that people know what this is. Like I think that they saw the Shadow Duelist thing, and at first people thought it was like a event in game, like a Master Duel event in game, and it's not. It's like a separate thing, and you have to sign up for it by going to this Discord server. But it was weird because it was like, okay, on like August 5th, they said like, who is the Shadow Duelist? Like find out more in a week when we have a trailer that announces more about this. And so then a week passes, and it's like, okay, this is sort of what the Shadow Duelist thing is. But there's a press release, but I didn't see the press release go out like very publicly. Like it was like I saw the press release on Konami's website and I got like an email about it or whatever. But like that wasn't on social media, so it wasn't really clear what the dates and the structure of everything is. Like not immediately clear. I might have missed this. It might have been on Instagram or Facebook and I just didn't see it. But like I feel like people were just kind of led along but not given enough information to know like Is this something you're supposed to be excited about? Is it like an influencer sort of thing, like the QCC? Is it like selective? Is it in game? Is it out of game? Like, does it matter who the celebrity is? What's in it for me as a spectator or a player? And it's all kind of, I don't know. I guess it's just, it hasn't been made very clear.
Yeah, I mean, so I do think, at least with the tweets that they made and the videos they made, I think they did a decent enough job explaining it. I think if people are confused, that just shows our level of comprehension.
Okay.
That it's not that high.
Okay. I agree.
Like I
Me.
really do think that what they put out on Twitter explained the situation decently. And there were a lot of specifics still missing, but I think it was understood there was a tournament involved. I think what was confusing was what the Shadow Duelist had to do with any of this.
Well, so
Like, what does guessing who the Shadow Duelist is have to do with the tournament?
so
They proposed these two different things, but I didn't quite see how they meshed.
I see what you're saying. So what's kind of happening here is it's like two separate things, and who guessing the Shadow Duelist through these like hints and stuff on social media is kind of one campaign. It's meant to keep people engaged and keep people sort of talking, and I think that to some extent that's worked. Like I've seen a lot of people in the comments on the different sites like guessing. A lot of people said it was Noah Lyles at first. Now we heard the voice clip. It's definitely not a black person. So
Well, that could be a black person.
I mean, I guess true, but
It was maybe from
not
the UK
not Noah Lyles
or Australia or something.
Yeah, and it's so that's like a thing. But then I think that people just didn't know that there was like a tournament involved, or like maybe more like what you said. What does the tournament have to do with unmasking the Shadow Duelist? And
It's like,
so
because like I understand there's a tournament and you do get a reward for winning the tournament, but what is the goal of figuring out who the Shadow Knight is? Is there no reward or
there's
contest?
no
It's
reward.
just,
Yeah, you just kind of
they just say,
blindly throw out
"Can
your
you
guesses
figure
on
it
social
out?"
media. Yeah.
Like, I think there should have been some type of there should have been some type of like a
Incentive,
quiz,
like the first
where,
person to guess it, or a quiz, like something like
or
that.
maybe everyone who guesses it right gets entered into like a lottery, where then someone random wins something.
I'm gonna give them some slack though. This is honestly very new territory for Konami, as far as I can tell. Like their digital team, they are at least trying out some cool new formats for fan engagement. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this an earnest shot. I want to enter the tournament. I want to see what happens and like try to engage with it in good faith and not just be like, oh, typical co-money, terrible, awful, killing the game, can't do anything right. So, I'm gonna see what it's like.
I was like, I wonder if the lack of like a turnout for the tournament is not because of marketing, but maybe it might be the perception of the game itself.
I think that what they should have done is use more blatant wording with what this is. So they should have said like, okay, beat the Shadow Duelist and win such and such thing. Like strong call to action, like okay, like compete, win against the Shadow Duelist, and he will give you this thing. Like I think right now it's just so shrouded in like, what is it, without just letting people know, okay, what am I, like what is my role?
You need to
in it?
tell people what to focus on. Right now, the focus is on the mystique of the Shadow Duelist, not on the tournament that you're supposed to enter, which actually does seem to be the entire point of this.
Yeah, so in
I
the
do
Discord,
think they probably need to drive that a little bit harder.
in the Discord, they do have they have more like they have like these sections where people can guess who it is, and some people are thinking like Tom Holland, could I don't know. There's so many names on here.
Tom Holland isn't expensive, but I like the pick.
Chris Broad.
Who's Chris Broad? Wait,
don't
is
know.
that the guy from the YouTube guy?
I have no clue. One tip that we did get that we didn't mention so far is that like this is a person who apparently wanted to teach English, like, but then had a change of career. So maybe
He
that's
wants
like
to be an English teacher. I mean, that sounds like an actor, right? Like,
Yeah.
That sounds like something an actor might want to do or say. That doesn't sound like an athlete. That would be weird, right? It turns out it was Noah Lyles all along, just doing an accent. He wanted
So
to be an English teacher, then turned into a sprinter.
yeah, that would be quite the turn. Yeah, so that's what's going on with the Shadow Duelist thing. I will keep up with it. Maybe by the time you're hearing this podcast, there will be another clue on social media that will help to clarify what exactly is going on.
What if this is the best like voice job in the world, and it's actually like Zendaya?
Okay, it's so random. Yeah, so like I said, I'll be playing in it. I'm gonna try to see it through, and you know.
I mean, with it only being 300 people, I say, guys, y'all might as well just go and enter. This is a fairly small event for like better pricing than you can expect at a YCS.
Oh, one last thing about that actually, just I forgot to mention the rules of like the tournament itself. It's like best of one, like up until the top cut.
So it's gonna be fast too,
yeah,
y'all. Just get in, get out.
It's like 25-minute rounds. Like you do a best of one on Master Duel, and you do like 9 rounds. And if you're basically either undefeated or like 8-1 or some good record like that, you'll make it into the top cut. So it's honestly worth a shot. Like you could use your.
Do
Saturday
we know
doing
the
that.
pricing for Top Cut?
We do have the pricing actually. So I should have actually pulled this up sooner, but yeah. So first place gets 1 autographed Shadow Duelist mask.
Okay, all right, that's
So
kind
I
of
guess
dope.
the celebrity will have autographed it. A Steam Deck.
That's better than the Switch. I gotta say that it's better than the
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah, a Steam Deck. I think is a better prize than a Switch. A Master Duel backpack.
Okay, we know they got those.
A Time Wizard plush. And a Rescue Rabbit plush. So I didn't know that there was a new Time Wizard plush. That might be.
Ooh,
I don't
them
think I've
boys,
seen
they
that.
gonna go for some money online.
Yeah, and then second place gets all the same stuff minus the autographed mask. So they are giving out 2 Steam Decks, which I think is nice.
It's not bad.
And
That's
like
not
third and
bad.
fourth don't get the Steam Decks. 5th to 8th don't get the backpack, and then 9th to 16th don't get the Time Wizard. It's like, given that it's a free tournament, I don't think like it's a free tournament and it's online. And you're not having to like travel or anything. I think this is not a bad prize pool.
I mean,
like,
this isn't bad. It's a free tournament, and those rescue rabbits are going for a hot $1 on eBay for a minute.
yeah, it's like this could be fun. You could get top like 8 or top 16 and kind of walk away feeling decent. And even if you don't, it's the time commitment is low. So
And see, I might even enter, even though I have no business playing in a Master Duel tournament, not with my horrible clicking ability.
hey, build a Ubel deck. They're pretty broken. I'll tell you that much.
I don't want to spend the money.
That's true. So yeah, that's basically the Shadow Duelist thing. And that's pretty much it actually for the Yu-Gi-Oh news. There's not a lot else. There's just been like sparse other announcements. Quickly, there's the Mimigul Charm. That is the sneak peek promo that's for Rage of the Abyss. The continuous spell they can use to banish cards from your opponent's extra deck. And
Yay, we love cards that violate our decks.
yeah, it's everyone's favorite, right? So, that's kind of neat. But yeah, overall, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh news. What do we move on to next? Do we talk Pokemon?
Yeah, let's go Pokemon next.
Okay. So, you can kick us off.
So, Pokemon Worlds was last weekend,
Right.
and there was a little bit of controversy. There was just a bit.
Yes, I did see exactly what you were talking about. This is the guy in the TC is a TCG thing, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Pokemon World's TCG competitor allegedly disqualified for cheating.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So
What happened
in
to
footage
this guy?
that was shared on Twitter or X, this player, I actually don't have his name pulled
Ian
up. I think he
Robb.
goes by, wait,
Ian
what you got?
Robb is his name. Right?
Ian Robb. We might have different. Because I got a guy named Ruiz.
Oh. Okay, well, you
Do
tell
we
your
have
story
two
first.
different? Okay, we might
Yeah,
have,
you
we might
tell
have two
your
different
story
cheating
first.
stories. All right, so a TCG player competing in the Pokemon World Championships 2024 has seemingly been disqualified after footage online allegedly shows them cheating and moving cards during play to use at a later point.
Oh,
In
okay, yeah, this
footage,
is a different story.
oh my gosh.
But you can finish. I'm interested.
In footage shared to X by user yada yada yada, the player can be seen shuffling their deck only to then place a card from their discard pile onto their lap and then take the card from their lap and place it into their hand. The tournament result shows they were later disqualified during a different match, though the reason is currently unknown. Players were quick to try and discover who the player was with a comment underneath the video asking which round was this, then adding that the footage takes place on table 859 and that the time should be easy to look up. Another player commented, guessing it was this match, and showed a game between Luke Parks and Carlos Eduardo Ruiz. One reader's comment showed a later result for Ruiz, which indicated they were disqualified. So Ruiz was caught on 4K palming cards and trying to reuse them in his games.
Okay.
And while we don't have confirmation that was why they were specifically disqualified from the tournament, it seems likely.
That's likely so. I mean, if it's caught on video, it's, Interesting. I mean, I'm always surprised that people will cheat on, like, the big stage on stream, like, because we've seen that at, like, YCS events where it's, like, feature matches, but people still get caught, moving cards around and trying something slick, and it's like, bro, like, like, there are cameras, oftentimes multiple angles.
Right. And now I'm going to shoot Ruiz a little bit of bail, not a lot of bail, because they definitely cheated. This wasn't a feature match.
Oh,
so
it wasn't?
They didn't actually, yeah, that's the crazy part.
Oh, okay.
They were playing in Swiss, it looks like, and someone just happened to be recording. I don't know if the person recording was trying to catch them in the act, or did they just happen to have the camera going and he was just like, let me just get some extra cards going.
Yeah, it doesn't justify the cheating, but, I mean, I guess at least...
They didn't,
I take back what I said.
I don't think they knew
like,
they were on camera.
Yeah. So, still don't cheat. I mean, that still doesn't, that's why I need to be doing it.
But it sounds like somebody else was cheating.
Now, so my story is, I think, the one that was, like, a really big controversy. Okay. So, basically, this guy, Ian Robb, this was, like, I think, in top 8. He got a loss in top 8 because when he won his match, he did this kind of hand gesture that sort of looked like, I guess, masturbating, beating off, like, in celebration. It's weird. I'll put up the video on screen because it's kind of difficult to describe it.
Yeah, because what you're describing is not... Oh, that's sketchy.
Yeah. So basically, competitor Ian Robb was removed from the tournament following a win in the top 8 over Fernando Cifuentes, unexpectedly granting the latter a berth into the top 4 and immediately throwing the semifinals in chaos. So things appeared normal as the stream moved away from Robb's on-camera match with Cifuentes, sorry for butchering the name, and into the secondary top 8 match. But by the time the semifinals began, it became clear that something was wrong as Parker was seated across from Cifuentes instead. Viewers are quick to point out that Robb had made what could be seen as an inappropriate gesture following his victory on camera. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, you can kind of check. Yeah, he's kind of celebrating and doing the little hand thing. And so some people, there's a bit of like a controversy around, like, did he deserve to be, disqualified for this? But yeah, the Pokemon Company did provide this statement. They said Ian Robb has been issued a match loss for unsportsmanlike conduct. So, what do we think?
It reminds me a lot of the situation of what Team Samurai had with Konami on stream.
Right, yeah.
We just can't be doing like whatever we want on like officially sponsored streams.
I think in the case of Pokemon in particular too, it's
especially
a game,
Pokemon.
It's so family friendly, like kind of just squeaky clean image. They don't play around with that IP. And not that Yu-Gi-Oh really does much more either, but like, yeah. I mean, I guess, like, do you think he deserved the game loss just for kind of like celebrating in that way?
So, I mean, it's immature. I think if they weren't on stream, I think you get like a slap, a warning or a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But I think when it's on stream, you need to send a very clear message to the rest of the players that don't act a fool. It won't be tolerated. This can cost you everything.
Yeah.
So in that way, because it's on stream, I do think he deserved it. Because
Yeah.
honestly, you should know better. Like, what kind of upbringing have you had in your life where you're just doing whatever you want on camera? I don't care if you're happy just because you're celebrating it. Come on, act like you've been here before.
I also was just checking out some of the winners from the event. I'm not going to go through these names and teams and stuff, but the first place team in Pokemon Unite got $100,000. So, yeah. Now, I guess that's like split across a team because they believe that there's like 5 people on a team. So I guess they each
Oh,
got like
okay.
$20,000. But still, yeah. In Pokemon Go, the first place Pokemon Go champion Yakai0904 got $20,000 as well.
20K for Pokemon Go? How do you
Yeah.
even compete in Pokemon Go? I actually don't
I
understand
don't really
how
know. I mean,
that
well,
works.
Pokemon Go has a battle system now. It didn't at
does.
first, but
It's just-
apparently it does. It's had it for a while.
Like, I get, okay.
Someone can
Interesting.
explain.
Yeah,
Also,
comments. Do
There
your
was
thing.
there was prize money, by the way, for Pokemon Unite all the way down through top 16. So even people from 13th to 16th place got $5,000. Like those teams got $5,000 each.
Man,
Same
I need to,
with top
do I need
8.
to switch companies? Am I in the wrong?
Yeah, same with top 8 in Pokemon Go. Now for the TCG, in the junior league, this is just like from the junior division. I believe these are like ages 20 born in 2012 or later, so like 12 and under.
You're as young as you feel.
The first place winner got $50,000. A 12-year-old.
That's a lot of money for a 12-year-old.
Second place got 30,000. Third and fourth got 20,000 each. So
That's a lot of money for a 12-year-old. Like, that's a lot of money for a 30-year-old.
also same for the seniors division. So
Like the same prize pool, like the same, like
prize pool.
amounts.
So I didn't actually realize this, but I thought seniors division meant like old people seniors, but it is actually people born between 2008 and 2011. So juniors is like really young kids, seniors is like teenagers basically, and then masters is 2007 or earlier. So
Oh, okay. The geriatrics. They should just call it what it is.
yeah. And then also in VGC, they kind of do the same thing as TCG, where they have juniors, seniors, and masters, and same prize pools. So basically, a lot of people won a lot of money at the these
Like-
Pokemon events.
Where's my money? Wait, I have not won any tournaments. But if I did, I would be asking where's my money too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's why people were leaving. That's why Jessica Robinson was complaining. It just doesn't feel like we're rewarded for being good at Yu-Gi-Oh! At least not to the degree as other games are.
One thing that I saw of note was this Twitter thread or kind of Twitter post that's been going around where somebody was saying how the winning Pokemon TCG deck in the Masters division is worth $55. Like you can build that deck for $55.
I don't got it on me right now, to be honest with you.
So, that's kind of in comparison to Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the current best decks can cost, nearly $1,000. And so it's kind of like this game is paying more and the decks are more accessible and affordable. What are you guys doing? Now, there's been some backlash to the tweet because some people feel like it's kind of in bad faith, right? Like,
Yeah.
the deck that apparently won the event is also, it's like a stun deck. It only runs like one Pokemon. Like, it's kind of one of those
It's one
weird,
of those
like
decks.
offbeat decks or something. I don't know too much about the Pokemon TCGs, like metagame or whatever. But
Just
maybe
like Yu-Gi-Oh! No one has fun.
some people compared it to like it's the equivalent of Runic Stun, right? A Runic deck running like 50 floodgates and milling you out. Still, though, I do think that there is something to be said about Pokemon's accessibility comparatively. Like, this is the sort of thing where if you were watching Pokemon Worlds and you did see like all this kind of stuff happening and all, like, the fact that you can now get into it yourself for such a cheap price, if you wanted to try it, is a lot more inspiring, I'd say, compared to like with Yu-Gi-Oh! That sort of flipped on its head, where it's like, to start playing the best deck, you might need like $500, and then your reward for doing so will be an old Switch and a vanilla
Well,
prize card.
you have to remember, Paul, that's Pokemon. It's supposed to be for kids, you know. Their packaging says as much, you know, for like 8 and up or whatever. You know, it's for kids. Of course the cards are gonna be cheaper. Like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they're rated for what? Like 32 and up? Like
It should be shit.
Yu-Gi-Oh card,
Yu-Gi-Oh
that's
6
that's
plus.
grown people game, you know.
No,
You
Yu-Gi-Oh
said
card is 6
6.
plus. Yeah, 6 plus. So
You mean 26.
just putting it out there.
Because
Yeah, so-
Magia don't cost money. You can't. A 6-year-old can't get a Magia.
Did you hear that Magia has like gone up in price? It's like $1,000.
Yes. I've been
Right.
clocking. I've been clocking it. I've been looking for my chance to get one, or not get one because I don't really have the money. But you know, if I could, you know, I'd like one, just one.
Yeah, I saw that. At first it was like $500-600, but now it's something like $1,000. I'm not like 100% sure. I'm actually gonna look that up right now because I'm curious.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay, as of
getting-
right now, it's down to like $715. So
Okay, $715.
Like
I'm not gonna
$700.
hate on it. But it does make sense. It's a pay to play kind of card. We're getting new Blue Eye support, and there is a variant of that deck that can play Magia. And is it going to be the best deck of the format? No. But it will be good enough, and being good enough plus, you know, exclusive, that's enough for people. You know, they'll gladly over-invest in one card if it means they can play a decent enough deck and then be fairly certain nobody else around them has it too.
yeah, that's one nice thing. I've said for a while, shit, just make Magia the prize card. Like it has the anime Dark Magician Blue Eyes appeal, and
Oh my god! If Magic was a prize card, I don't think YCS winners would be able to complain anymore. They could every time they would win one, like 30 people would jump out the woodwork trying to buy it off of them.
oh, probably more than 30. Because I mean, at this rate, you'd say, oh, it shouldn't be locked behind prize, like being a prize to YCS. But at the rate we're going, pulling it from Battles of Legend is just as difficult. So
That's true. Like, you pulling it is like winning a YCS.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Anyway, that's not even like related. It's not really a story, but I saw that its price had been steadily increasing. So, but yeah, that's Pokemon Worlds. It happened. It was cool. Any other TCG stories?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So, this is a Magic the Gathering story. This is centering around Thunder Junction. It was a set that came out in
Last year sometime, right? Last summer.
No, it was this
spring?
year. It was this year.
Oh, it was this year?
What month did we visit the professor?
Like April. So I guess it came out in like March, maybe.
It came out in April.
Okay, April. All right. So what's going on?
Because
With it?
they were doing. I remember they were doing like these like Thunder Junction like sealed events when we were out there. Anyway, it says MTG head designer admits Thunder Junction was paper thin. Thunder Junction, the first Magic the Gathering plane inspired by Western films, was not a unique take on the genre and felt paper thin, according to head designer Mark Rosewater. We've heard this guy before, saying way more about their game than Konami ever says about ours. Reflecting on the past year's Magic releases in his annual State of Design retrospective, they have an annual State of Design retrospective?
That's just so much more information than I would ever expect Konami to give on like their thoughts on the direction of Yu-Gi-Oh or the design of it.
Right? He says, we were too on the nose with our tropes. Rosewater says that the MTG design team had been talking about making a Western-themed MTG set for years, and many players were excited to finally go there. This apparently manifested at the pre-release with a high number of in-person players and online content creators dressing up in gunslinger costumes. And I know this because when we were touring around Portland, every single shop out there sold Magic, and they were all going goo goo gaga over Thunder Junction.
Okay.
But he admits most thought the set didn't really deliver on the premise. Although the world...
Oh, so he's... Sorry to cut you off. So he's basically talking more about the like aesthetic design, like and theming,
Yes.
not so much... Okay, all right, continue, sorry.
So He says most thought the set didn't really deliver on the premise, although the world building team did put a lot of work on aspects of the set that players didn't get to learn about. There were no Planeswalker Guide articles to let players know what was really going on this MTG plane. Like they have articles to explain like the lore, and we sit here just trying to figure out what Visa Starfrost even did.
That's
He
intriguing. I mean, so they have a yearly state of design?
yes,
To me, that's the bigger news to me. Like, I just did not, wow.
they just sit there and they talk about the world building, the car, like the artwork, the design. Like
I'm
it's so
curious
interesting to
for any
me.
listeners who like follow kind of MTG more for the lore. Like how into the MTG lore are you, and like do you feel that it's been delivering? Because it sounds like according to Rosewater, maybe this particular set didn't do as good a job as they wanted, but I'm just amazed that there's like a game where people both on the designer end and like the consumer end care so much about lore that there's enough joint interest in making like a state of design every year.
I mean, we can look at our good friend Larry's descent into Magic the Gathering. Larry's a lore guy. He loves reading stories and he likes getting really into the hobbies he picks up. And I was always blown away just how quickly Larry got into the lore of Magic the Gathering. Was already able to reel off what each artwork symbolized in whatever set that was.
Yeah.
The I forget the name of the set anyway. But Larry's able to just kind of tell us about each card and what it means for the lore of Magic the Gathering. And that's when I realized that Wizards of the Coast has resources just out there for anyone curious about what these cards mean and like the significance of the characters. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, we just say, hey, this guy was
You have
on
to
this card
guess.
too.
You guess, and you wait a year or two for the little master guide to release in Japan. Then you wait another like week or two for somebody to translate it, and then you hope that it's good enough.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. I mean, actually, very recently in Yu-Gi-Oh, we got translations for the last valuable book, where we got explanations on.
I thought we got explanations. This might
It
have been the
was
valuable
Dia
book.
Bellstar,
I was also thinking
Goblin
of Vanquish
Bikers.
Souls on one
Was
of
it?
these books.
Oh, I didn't see the Vanquish Soul.
It
I
might
didn't
have
see
been
the
a
Vanquish
different
Soul
thing
stuff,
though.
but that might have been an older one.
Okay.
So I saw Dia Bellstar, I saw Goblin Bikers, the I forget what they were called, but it was newer, but it wasn't up to like Whitewood, so it wasn't up to our
Right.
most recent set. But it did cover a lot of the stuff in between this valuable book and then the end of the Albaz
End
line
of
of support.
Albaz.
So it was an interesting read, but once again, that was released in Japan, and then someone kind of just fan translated it so that we could know what's going on too, because we don't know.
Well, must be nice to be a Magic the Gathering player. You know what also might make it even nicer right now?
What's that?
Is that MTG tournaments are back, open to all, with $50,000 prizes. So, this actually would have probably been a great segue from Pokemon. I didn't really think about it. But, yeah, in the subject of prize support and stuff between games, Wizards has unveiled a new type of Magic the Gathering tournament, the Magic Spotlight Series. They're open to all comers
Oh, I did
and
see
still
that.
have plenty of prize money. So yeah, they've announced the Magic Spotlight Series, a new type of MTG tournament which debuts in 2025. The headline is, "These are serious competitive events with a serious $50,000 prize pool, and they're open to all. No invitation needed." According to Senior Communications Manager Blake Rasmussen and Director of Play Programs Huey Jensen, speaking in yesterday's MTG Weekly, the MTG Spotlight Series is designed to fill a, quote, gap in play offerings. So,
Ooh.
this quote says, "There aren't that many weekends on the calendar where someone can say, I just want to go play a big Magic tournament," Jensen said. In essence, this seems like a return in spirit to the MTG Grand Prix, which was canceled in 2020 due to the pandemic and never reinstated before now. So,
Oh, see, I didn't know about this side of competitive playing Magic.
yeah, I'd heard about the Grand Prix and that they did have prizing. I didn't know. I mean, I guess I could have guessed that they canceled them in 2020 and Yeah, they just
Like
aren't
what
back.
wasn't canceled in 2020?
Yeah. So there's going to be 8 Magic Spotlight Series events held throughout 2025. There are going to be 5 in the United States, 2 in Europe, and 1 in Japan. Prizes will differ from competition to competition, but it does look like the $50,000 prize pool will remain constant. The top 8 of each contest will also receive Pro Tour invites, which, if someone can explain what the Pro Tour is, I'm not actually even...
So my understanding is the Pro Tour thing is more of is like invitation based.
Okay.
I don't know how one earns an invitation to the Pro Tour, but I think that's what they mean by this is open to everyone, because those Pro Tour events are not.
Various MTG formats will be represented, and each event will spotlight, I guess that's why it's called Spotlight, a particular theme. The first will be held in Atlanta from January 3rd to 5th. This will be themed around the upcoming set MTG Foundations, which we talked about actually a couple weeks ago.
We did.
The format will be standard constructed, and all participants will get a unique Terror of the Peaks promo. The winner will not just get the lion's share of the $50,000. They'll also be set for the next 12 months of standard, receiving 6 play booster boxes for each standard legal set released that year.
Woo!
Wow.
So you're getting cash and you're getting product, like a significant amount of it.
Yeah, the second event's going to be in Utrecht, Netherlands, and that's all they've got so far, but they promised to give more details in the coming months. So that's crazy prizing, right? $50,000
really
prize
is.
pool, meaning like I'm guessing first place probably gets something like, $20,000 or $30,000 of it, like let's say, and then it might fall off to the rest of like the top 8 or something. But more than that, yeah, you're gonna get 6 boxes
Of every set for a year, every
year.
standard legal set for a year.
Man, that's another thing that maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Pricing needs to be doing is like, you get like a case or something, or half a case or whatever of every set for the year. Like, that sounds really cool.
That's crazy.
Like, it really
Yeah, I
keeps you
mean,
set.
6 boxes, yeah, you'll do really well as far as deck building for the year at that point. I mean,
Like, imagine, Like,
I mean, even if you don't need anything from those sets, I mean, those are all like, that's just, there's value.
There's some guaranteed value in the secret rares that you would get, and then also, like, you can help your friends
Mythics.
out. You can, I was thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh! Terms, but
Oh,
I guess
fair
Mythics. Yeah, you can help your friends out, your local community, or you can sell it for yourself. Or just at worst, it guarantees that you will always be on the curve. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you'll always kind of have access to the new cards. You might not pull exactly what you need, but if they're getting
Yeah, you
like
might not get like a full set of them, but
still 6 boxes is like typically enough to.
like, you're gonna get
you
most
pretty
of what you
far.
want, right?
Like, at least if I had to compare that to Yu-Gi-Oh, like if they gave a case, or in this case like half a case of every, you get half a case of every set for the year. Imagining that for something like this year, that would mean like you'd have gotten your Poplar and Promethean Princess and stuff from Phantom
easily.
Nightmare. You'd have gotten, or like if you wanted to build Yubel, you'd have gotten kind of a start on that. Like, it kind of ensures you have a shot at any of the new staples. I don't know.
You'd have most of a Shining Sarcophagus deck.
Yeah, like, it's a good prize system. I applaud them for this. I wonder
I
how
respect it.
popular
I
this will
like
be.
it. The
Probably very.
now I feel like the Yu-Gi-Oh version of that, I think they might still do the half a case of product, but then I don't think they would offer the cash prize though.
Yeah, we're not getting the cash, but I mean, I still think the product, in addition to whatever else, would be.
In fact, if they're not gonna get the cash, it should be a full case.
Yeah, and like, I mean, and getting that for the rest of the year is just, that's pretty awesome. So, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of a cool thing. I obviously won't be competing in something like this. I only have lightly played by Magic the Gathering, but I could see this definitely being like a pull for somebody who likes, competing in Magic. I think this would be, sounds good to me.
And the standard format in Magic has been on life support for a while now.
I've heard.
This could be enough to get people back into standard play.
Yeah.
I would actually like that. I prefer to actually play Magic in a more standard format, Just Commander's too many cards for me. I don't like 100
Commander's
card decks.
Commander A 100 card deck is very unwieldy, like physically, but also, uh, this isn't exactly related, but I'll just tangent for a bit. I do sometimes think like Commander's not the best Magic thing. Like I've heard that sentiment from
Like
actual
it's just
Magic players.
it's very wild and crazy. Sometimes I wish I could just run a lower to the ground strategy that is consistent and the power level isn't so high.
I just don't like honestly. I think it comes down to like having the right pod of people. Like there's this idealized version of Commander that people tell you about where it's like it's so fun. It's you and your friends, and you got your drinks and your pizza,
like,
and you're just kind of hanging out.
As long as you're all playing at a 6. If someone shows
Yeah.
up playing a 7, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. It can be overwhelming if you're not, on the same wavelength as the people around you.
But in their like standard rotating format, the power level is already capped. You don't have to find a pot of people to play. We
Yeah.
all know the level.
Yeah. So MTG Spotlight Series, be on the lookout for it.
Good to know. Good to know.
I think that's all the card game stuff I've got. You got anything else?
Let me see. Yeah, that's it. No more card games.
All right, I'm just going to take this quick moment to remind you guys, if you are watching/listening to the YouTube premiere, to please give a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already. It's a small ask, but it really goes a long way. And we'd appreciate it if you did. So.
And if you do, Paul's going to do the gesture that guy did to get disqualified in Pokemon.
Yeah, whatever it was he did. Okay, all right, next story, you're up.
Okay, so Gamescom 2024 is going on right now because it lasts like a full week, right?
It's at least a few days.
So Gamescom is going on, or maybe it's gone on. I'm not sure if it's past tense yet, but they had their big opening reveal of a bunch of different game trailers and announcements, and I have them all pulled up here.
Yeah, there was a lot.
So let's talk about them.
I was going to also bring this to the pod. I'm glad you did. I was going to be like, oh, we could go through all the different games. Then I saw that there's 30 announcements or something here. What were the highlights to you?
So I don't know if they're highlights to me because the first one I see here is the Overwatch 2 Juno trailer, and you know how I feel about Overwatch 2.
I've heard terrible things about it. I know it's. I know Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, they put out a new trailer for a new character. That's cool for Overwatch fans, but this opening was all about showing just many things from many different people. And Overwatch does need to try and get control of the narrative of their game again. And one of the strengths Overwatch had, at least back when it launched, were its the animated trailers and whatnot. And they were spread so wide online. That's how they got their initial fan base. So it makes a lot of sense. Well, let's get this new character trailer in front of as many eyes as we can, try to remind people, that we used to be good.
I saw they announced Borderlands 4.
Borderlands 4 announcement with a new kind of a art style that we're not used to from the Borderlands series. They typically have this kind of cell shaded comic-y look. Now it's it's much more
realistic. I would say
realistic 3D. How that's gonna come together, I'm a little worried about, but I've never had a problem with a Borderlands game, so
yeah,
I'm not too worried.
A pretty abstract trailer. It's like planets, fire. Energy,
that tells me that they have nothing done yet.
Yeah. Well, they say it's going to be out next year, so not too much longer in development.
We'll see. We'll see. Delays incoming. What else did we see? Oh yeah, Street Fighter 6 showed off Terry Bogard from the from the Fatal Fury series and King of Fighters
to Street Fighter. That's cool.
Oh yeah, you know who Terry is now because of Smash.
Yeah, Terry Bogard, Mai Shiranui.
Yeah, Terry stands at 6 feet and weighs 175 pounds with those arms. That makes sense.
I know there's a tangent. The Street Fighter heights and weights never make any fucking sense
They don't.
to me.
They never do. I was like, Terry's 6 foot. I could believe that. Then they're 175 pounds. Huh?
Yeah, it's so weird to me because it's 6 foot. I buy it, sure. He seems tall, but it's these people are built like walls. Like just
He's got muscles bigger than his head.
yeah, exactly. Like he's like the biggest linebacker you've ever seen. They're just like, yeah, he's like 175 pounds. It's like with how like with Ryu and Ken, they're always like, yeah, you know, Ryu's like he weighs like 160 something pounds. Like, no, he doesn't. Like, there's no way.
That man is a tank.
But anyway, no, that's cool. Terry Bogart, Street Fighter. It's a world of crossovers that we're living in. You know what I mean?
Then we saw Black Ops 6 with a new mission. That's cool for Black Ops people.
I mean, I know you played a little bit of Call of Duty.
I did. I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 because it had Gundam skins that ended, so I no longer play.
Wow. It's such a... Alec is like, in and out. I want my Gundam. I'm done now.
That's how it works, man. It is what it is.
I thought there was another Dragon Ball Sparking Zero trailer.
I mean, there's going to be one of those every month until the game is out. I mean, the roster's gigantic. I mean, it's a Dragon Ball Z game. You know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
There's going to be 30 Gokus, 20 Vegetas, you know. Is this... Something's flying in my face.
Actually, yes. Now, I wanted to ask you about this game, Arc Raiders. Is this something that... It's like... They say it's like a free-to-play shooter. Have you heard about this?
Let me see. Arc Raiders?
Yeah.
That one's not on my list. It didn't make my list.
Yeah, it's supposed to be out next year. It's by
here it is.
Studios. It just looked kind of like maybe it's a zombie co-op shooter sort of thing, or is that? Wait, no, I'm reading about.
No, it's not a zombie shooter. It's more of it's a sci-fi.
Okay,
shooter.
yeah, I was reading about something different. Yeah, my bad. Okay, interesting. I just wasn't.
My issue with Arc Raiders is it reminds me of the hero shooter that Sony was showing off. What was it called?
It starts with C.
Yeah, like Cornucopia. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Concord. That's it.
Yeah, Concord. Okay.
Yeah, it reminded me of Concord. I know this is supposed to be like a PvE shooter in the same vein as what's that, Rainbow Six or something.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But it didn't look. I didn't feel that tug that said, "Alec, you need to try this." Mostly because I have other shooters on my list right now, and I'm just not sure how anybody can break past my interest in Mecha Break and Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marvel Rivals was also at Gamescom 2024 with a new trailer featuring Captain America and the Winter Soldier, who surprisingly weren't already in the game. I just assumed they already were.
I mean, I guess it's safe to say that they'll all be there eventually. So
yeah, I mean, they better use the entire Marvel universe to their advantage. That's their advantage.
Yeah, I saw that they announced a release date for it is December 6th, so a little bit earlier than people had initially said, like 2025, but it looks like it's like end of 2024. It's kind of good. They can get it out before the holidays.
I think game developers and publishers were smelling a little blood in the water as far as the holiday game release season. I think our game lineup this year has been a little weak. In like, not in practice, but in theory, it seemed a little weak.
Yeah.
And I'll actually talk more about that in one of my future stories. But I think we're trying to get some games to like come out before this year ends, because I don't think people really want to release next year for some reason.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, Path of Exile 2 was shown off. I think we already knew about Path of Exile 2, but they had a early access date of November 15th for all of you, Path of Exile fans.
Yeah.
You remember Path of Exile, right, Paul? We saw that at PAX South.
Yeah, we did. That was Path of Exile 1, and that was like in 2018-ish, maybe?
It was a while ago, because PAX South has been gone for a minute.
Yeah, that's true. It releases or goes in early access on November 15th. So I feel like we were going to try this game out, weren't we?
Well, I know that there was interest in it. It wasn't my interest.
Okay.
It's that style of like RPG never really appealed to me, but I understand why it will appeal to others.
It reminds me a lot of Diablo a little bit. Like when I look at it, I'm sure that someone's going to like roast me for being like, no, it's nothing like that. But like, it's just what it looks like. I don't know. I mean,
look, that makes perfect sense to me, because like Diablo doesn't really do it for me either. So if they
Yeah.
resemble each other, that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of games that didn't quite do it for me, Dune Awakening had a gameplay trailer. I think that was our first time seeing gameplay for the MMORPG based on the hit movie franchise Dune.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta capitalize on the success of Dune. So
It's just I don't know if anyone wanted a Dune MMORPG. Like
yeah, that's my question. Is that something people are
you could
gonna
have
play?
sold me on a single player game. I could play a Dune single player game. Maybe like an action RPG style game. I could do that. But an MMO,
So I saw
that's a tough
Mecha
one.
Break was at this event. Tell me more about this because I know you said you were actually into Mecha Break or like interested
So
in it.
so I didn't see whatever the Mecha Break announcement was at this event. I did play Mecha Break during the beta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they said that it's yeah, they had a new gameplay trailer and there's a release window of 2025, which that's a pretty broad window, but
Yeah, it's which that makes sense to me. I played during the Steam playtest for Mecha Break, and while the game is definitely solid, it's missing a lot to call it a full fledged game.
yeah, I guess it
It
kind
it
of remains
is.
to be seen.
It was a no. I think they limited my playtest. I only got to play in multiplayer matches, and then in their practice rooms. And I think I could even have set up custom rooms. I never had found a need to do that. But yeah, Mecha Break is a mecha shooter in much the same vein as the Gundam Versus series or the Extreme Versus series.
Yeah.
Lots of fast pace, like mecha firing, missiles everywhere, just
So,
action, and it's team based, so it's a lot like like hero shooters like Overwatch. So there's lots of team based mechanics and strategies you can use. Some characters specialize in more defensive style of play. Some are more mobile to do, and a lot of the gameplay is objective based. So
yeah.
which machines you have and how you work with your teammates will ultimately decide like how you win. But to me, winning doesn't matter in Mecha Break because it's already wins purely off mech design and combat feel. That was a chef's kiss, if you couldn't tell.
Okay. Well, I couldn't tell. One day I'll be able to tell. Awesome. I'm gonna be honest. I just didn't even know that Gamescom was happening until it was like happening. So I don't have any particular games here that were like huge to me. I saw some gameplay like of Sonic Generations X Shadow, which is like coming out a little bit later. There's like a new trailer for that. So that
I
kind
had
of
it explained to me that
spoke to me.
Shadow is an alien, so
Yeah, it's like they're continuing the story that they started with in the game Shadow the Hedgehog, where he's like part of the Black Arms aliens or whatever. I mean, I'll be playing it either way. So, yeah.
they had a new trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, which looked really nice. And they showed off that for the first time in the Monster Hunter series, that the armor that you can craft will not be gender locked. That
Oh, okay. So
while that may not sound important if you haven't played the series, it's Monster Hunter has pretty much always had gender locked armor, and at least in my opinion, it felt like they spent way more time designing the armor that was made for female characters more than the male characters.
I can't imagine why.
Because I was always disappointed. I was like, wow, like the female version of this armor looks amazing. Why do I look like? Why do I look like a Rathalos? I feel like you didn't stylize this. But
I
it
mean, I guess it's
will
also that kind
now.
of opens like freedom of expression too, because like
Yeah,
if you want your character to wear like more feminine armor, then like that's open to you. So I think that's pretty nice.
especially since like whether or not armor is masculine or feminine is very
That's true
subjective.
too.
Let
Yeah,
the player
like
decide. Let me decide if this looks too girly for me. Okay.
yeah, that's true. I mean, especially because like if the developers went to the trouble of making all the armor, you might as well maximize the amount of people who can, you know, use it.
But I watched the trailer. The game looks amazing. I can't wait to play it for 2 weeks and turn it off. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
That is the gaming experience. Well, there was a lot at Gamescom. That's all that I had seen that I was,
The
super
last
into.
thing, I have one more.
No rush. What are you doing? No, you're fine.
Batman Arkham Shadow.
Oh, wait. Is that the VR one?
Yes, that's the
Okay,
one on
yeah.
MetaQuest 3, exclusively on MetaQuest 3.
What
And
do they
while
say about
that
that?
is a huge letdown, we finally got a good look at the gameplay, and it actually looks pretty decent. It takes place after Batman Arkham Origins, like story wise. So you're playing a peak Batman, but he doesn't have all his extremely high tech gadgets. But it really does put you in the cowl of Batman. Exactly how those games play, it plays here, but it's first person. You're grappling around the map. You're beating thugs down, and when you need a little extra juice, you can turn the tasers on your gauntlets and really give them a show. Like it
Yeah.
actually looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Downside, got to be clear about this. It's exclusively on the MetaQuest 3.
I mean,
And
but you know that they definitely, they paid good money for that exclusivity. It does suck though, because it means like, or at least I'm guessing what you're maybe getting at is that like that limits the scope of how many people can enjoy it, and then B, it probably also limits a little bit of like what the game can be. Like if you've played VR games, you kind of know what I mean. Of course,
because
you
the thing is,
games.
a lot of people have not bought into VR, and that's cool. VR, especially in VR gaming, that the space has not done well enough with their games, I think, to even warrant such widespread adoption that we want. But by limiting it to just a MetaQuest 3, you're making it even harder, because there are people who will not touch Facebook, and they won't touch Meta devices.
There's also just the fact that like people don't even see the MetaQuest as a competent game console. I'm not saying I don't think it is one, but I'm just saying like the thing costs like what, $500?
Yeah, 500.
Like you got $500. What are you gonna get? Like a PS5 or a Quest? You know what I mean? Or
like the
or
competition
these days,
there, it doesn't quite
a
line
Steam
up.
Deck or a Quest, right? Like
I really would have liked this game to be on all relevant VR hardware, just because that would have that would reach way more people and given people a reason to maybe try VR.
Yeah. Although
But instead, it's just on the
relevant
MetaQuest
VR
3.
hardware. Would that really only be like the Apple Vision Pro and like?
I mean, Apple Vision Pro, whatever
Does
HTC's
Vive
latest
still
headset
exist?
is.
Do they still make
It
that?
still exists. I don't know what their latest hardware is.
I'm so curious about this. Okay, cool. They still have that. Good.
Yeah,
New
like
form,
the Vive,
new price, new deals. The Vive XR Elite. Okay, I was just curious
like
about
the
this.
price on VR is always, it's always higher than I think is comfortable for most consumers. But if there was a Batman game on, because I think everybody has that one VR headset they got interested in once.
Yeah.
If there was a Batman game sitting there waiting for them, they're a little bit more likely to try it and at least get it on PSVR.
Yeah,
Which is the highest adopted VR headset.
Yeah, totally forgot about PSVR. So I was just looking at the price of the Vive XR Elite. They just dropped the price actually. So guess how much it
to what,
costs.
800?
Yeah, it's $899.
Oh, okay. That was 100 off.
It was $1,099. Now it's $899, which is still, to be clear, pretty exorbitant, right? But
nobody's paying $1,000 for a VR headset to just play Batman.
Yeah, it's a tall order. It brings me back to that Yu-Gi-Oh thing, like where it's like they're making Yu-Gi-Oh VR, but like I don't know if the cross section of people is really large enough for it to get any major sales. If that's even going to be a traditional game at all, I don't know.
I think there needs to be a lot of collaboration in that space. Like right now, these different companies making their own VR platforms. They're And then they're all doing their own things. And then Meta's over here getting their own exclusive software made that no one else can have, when that's not
Yeah.
acting in the best interest of the VR industry.
Yeah, I
Really,
mean,
they should collaborate more so that gamers like and potential buyers feel that they can't go wrong with their VR choice, and they should all work together so that the game developers will make more interesting games for their platforms.
man, what an ideal world you speak of.
I know it doesn't work in a capitalistic
Because, I mean,
society.
I guess Meta's real objective is like, we want to be the only VR headset that exists. So,
Yeah, and
if you
look,
buy
we see how
this.
well that's going.
I mean, for what it's worth, it is the highest adopted one behind the PSVR 2. And the PSVR 2, like, has such a head start by being associated with PlayStation. So,
Like, I mean, Meta still has to use their own reviews to like claim that their games are good. Like, you buy like a MetaQuest headset and they're like, this is the highest rated game on our app store.
yeah, like, of course it is. Something has to be. Like,
Like, okay, that doesn't actually mean it's good. That means it's all you have.
and I mean, I'm giving Vive shit for having this $900 headset thing, but there's also like the freaking Apple Studio, whatever
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
the Apple Pro things.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
shit's like $3,500. Apparently, that thing died off the face of the earth. Like, no one talks about it anymore, and it's just not.
like VR hardware is expensive to develop, and it's not. It's really not feasible to get widespread adoption on this hardware just because of how expensive it is.
Yeah,
But that's why I speak to the whole idealized world of these companies working together,
so you
because
think these
I
games
think
should be cross-platform?
I think they should be cross-platform. I think all these companies should be sharing their notes and helping each other develop their hardware to try and get that hardware cheaper, because they can either work together and maybe prosper, or they can all die off by themselves slowly.
Well, speaking of gaming, I have a quick little gaming adjacent story.
What you got?
Twitch users devastated as streaming platform raises sub prices yet again. You
I
might
thought we
remember.
talked about this.
Yeah, you thought we did too, didn't you? Well, it's
Yeah.
new because Twitch has announced yet another increase to the price of subs after already raising the cost earlier in the summer, which is what you probably remember. Yeah, on August 21st, Amazon-owned streaming platform Twitch revealed that starting in October, new Tier 1 sub and gift sub prices would be going up for mobile viewers. So,
Oh, specifically mobile.
yeah, specifically if you're on mobile. Yeah. So they're going up to $7.99 from $5.99. So that already comes after they upped the general cost of subs by $1 back in July, where they went from $4.99 to $5.99. Now,
Yeah.
if you do it on a mobile device, your phone or whatever, tablet, then it goes up to $7.99. That's a 33% increase, which is really kind of insane. Now, here's their explanation for it. Oh, by the way, the United States is one of 30 regions that's also affected by the increase. Subscriptions are an important way that your viewers support your channel. In order to keep pace with rising costs and local currency fluctuations, we're updating Tier 1 subscription and gift sub prices on the Twitch iOS and Android mobile apps in over 40 countries. Starting October 1st, the increased price for new subs is $7.99 USD in your country. We are notifying your subscribers starting in October, and their subs will renew at the new price starting November 1st. So,
Why are they alerting people in October? They should alert them now.
I mean, I guess you might have seen the headline now, but yeah, they're trying to tell you in October to like decrease the window of time that you can know to
To cancel.
cancel.
They wildin'.
Now, one interesting thing is that it's important to note that this latest increase is for mobile only, and Tier 2 and 3 subs aren't affected. Additionally, Apple and Google take a 30% cut of payments on mobile, which could explain the decision. But of course, it has not stopped users from voicing their displeasure.
Now, I'm going to show my ignorance here. I'm going to show my ignorance. I don't know what the difference between a Tier 1 and a Tier 3 sub is. I literally don't know.
I don't know either. I think that
I
they're
didn't know
just
there were
different
tiers.
levels of...
I thought it was like...
We're boomers,
based-
okay? Listen, we're boomers. We don't know how the fuck
Because
this shit
it's like,
works.
after a couple months, does it become a Tier 2 sub, or... I don't
No,
get
it's
it.
just it's like levels of subbing, and you get like different benefits. Like with like YouTube channel memberships, it's kind of the same way. Or like a Patreon levels, I think it's like something like that. Someone in chat can explain it more. I don't watch enough Twitch
Because
to
like
really know.
only ever like Twitch sub was from my Prime. I don't know
Yeah,
what tier that is, and I never.
it's probably
I know
tier
like
one would be my
yeah.
assumption.
Oh, so tier one is the lowest.
I think so. I think so.
Oh, if tier one's the lowest, then it makes sense to change the prices on tier one since that would be the
That's the most
most
commonly
common.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm guessing like tier two might be like $10, and tier three might be more. So, my thoughts on this are that Twitch is still not profitable, and they're really just trying to like pinch every penny they can. But I've heard, or not pinch every penny, I guess, extort every penny they can.
Yeah.
I've heard though that these sub increases really hurt the small streamers, perhaps even more so than the large streamers, because if you're a small streamer and like let's say you only have maybe like 7 people who are subbed to your channel at any given time,
Yeah, every person that falls off is a large slice of the pie.
that's a huge chunk. And I mean, like, if it's a more niche thing, then that, like, if you're like doing like you stream a very niche game or a small community or whatever, then it's just more likely that maybe the people following you already can't necessarily afford. Like, maybe they were already kind of stretched by the $5.99 increase.
That's
thing,
crazy. So if you watch niche content on Twitch, you're poor.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Wow.
That is exactly what I no. So I for those of you who are listening who like watch a lot of Twitch, how do you feel about these sub price increases? Because one nice thing, I'm using air quotes, is that they do assure streamers that you will get the same net revenue share on subs and gift subs. So the price increase means that the streamers will earn more per subscription.
Oh, so if you're like a really big supporter of a streamer, then this could maybe be a good thing to you, right? You're like, hey, my favorite streamer is getting more money. I think that's how that line of trend
So
thought would go.
hopefully it will offset the lost amount of subs by the fact that the remaining subs will pay you more.
But I want to pose this question to our viewership. Guys, I'm not asking those of you who don't use Twitch, but for those of you who do have active Twitch subs out into the ether, how much are you willing to pay for a tier 1 sub on Twitch?
Yeah, I'm curious. Because I mean, it was $4.99, then it became $5.99, and now if it's on mobile, it's $7.99. Now I guess
I'm just
you
curious
have
what
the
the cutoff
option.
is.
I suppose you always have the option of just doing it on your computer because you can still watch on mobile. I assume, right? Like,
I guess that's true. I guess, yeah, why would you even bother then, right? You
but I guess
just
because
go
so
to your
many people do
computer.
everything on their phone, though. Like everything.
And then some people don't even have computers. My little brother didn't even have a computer until like a day ago.
Yeah. So, anyway, cool. I just thought that was a neat little Twitch story. You know me, I always love to hear what's going on.
You love to hate on streamers, you YouTuber.
Yeah. All right, what you got?
Another gaming story. College Football 25 is now 2024's best-selling game, beating Helldivers 2. Now,
College Football 25? Wow.
yeah, College Football 25, which comes as no surprise to me because the sheer amount of content I've seen around this game in like the short time that it's been around, yeah, it's been big. It's been big.
So
Now I don't know how this is going to change with the new what's that Black Myth Wukong game.
Yeah, I've heard that's also been popping off.
That's been making moves, but this is data from July. It says, for those unaware, the release of College Football 25 is a big deal. The last major college football game developed by EA, NCAA Football 14, debuted in 2013, more than a decade ago. So there was a lot of hype surrounding this new installment, and once it was out, we saw over 700,000 players logging into play within the first 48 hours of release. So it was clear that EA had a big hit on their hands, but thanks to new sales data, we now know for sure that EA College Football is a massive blockbuster. So I have the list right here.
Okay.
Number 1, EA Sports College Football. In second place is Helldivers 2, which used to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I know a lot
Number
of people who
3,
play that.
Modern Warfare 3. Call of Duty has to be there. Number 4, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 5, this is the new EA Sports MVP bundle. This sounds like more like a DLC thing. Let me see. This data is from Top 20 physical and full game digital from the Nintendo eShop, PlayStation Store, and Xbox platforms. Okay, so I guess a bundle made the list. Then it's Elden Ring, MLB The Show, WWE 2K24, Final Fantasy VII, Tekken, Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy is still on the list.
Oh, I guess
That's
it's still selling
insane.
well. That's wow.
That's insane. Then it's Madden 24, NBA 24. Then Suicide Squad Kills. It made the list.
Be sure to send me that list, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll need
No
it to
problem.
visualize it, but
I'm gonna throw it in our little Discord thing right now.
yeah, because
I'll
I'm kind of
finish
curious
off
about
the
this.
list.
I love my top 10 lists.
So EA Sports FC 24. I guess that's soccer. Then it's Persona 3 Reload. I do remember that. Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5. Wow, Grand Theft Auto is just
Yeah.
still. Sea of Thieves, that's a surprise. And Marvel Spider-Man 2.
It's so crazy that this new EA Sports game is. I mean, I know a lot of people really do love their their yearly Maddens and stuff, like a lot of normies, so to speak. But
But like, I mean, we call them normies, but this is like, we're North Americans. This is North American data. And from the best I can tell, these normies, they running things out here. There was way more sports games on here than I would have expected. A lot of
people are
niche
buying their
titles did
sports.
not make it.
people are buying their sports, so man.
If I actually
didn't-
followed college football, like I thought about picking the game up because I used to play Maddens back in like 2012. Like I know that makes me ancient, but that's back when I used to play like football, like arcade style games. But I was seeing this game popping up so much. I was like, man, maybe I should give it a try. But then I looked at my bank account and I was like, oh no. I can see clips of this game online for free.
Yeah. Well, I've got AI stories.
Oh snap!
I
You
ra-
said, wait, plural.
I have an AI story, and then I have I always kind of end things off with like a fun story, but it's sort of vaguely AI related still. So,
Okay, what you got?
first, more serious story. Procreate's anti-AI pledge attracts praise from digital creatives. So, Procreate is the popular iPad design app that a lot of artists use for drawing, painting, things like that. It's arguably, I think it's the most just popular one. I have it on my iPad back when I told myself, oh, I might learn how to draw. And then,
Just draw, Paul. Just put pen to tablet.
yeah, but many Procreate users can breathe a sigh of relief now that the popular iPad illustration app has taken a definitive stance against generative AI. The CEO, James Kuda, said in a video posted to X, "We're not going to be introducing any generative AI into our products. I don't like what's happening to the industry, and I don't like what it's doing to artists." So, yeah, generative AI is ripping the humanity out of things.
Thank
Built on
you.
a foundation of theft, the technology is steering us toward a barren future. Procreate said
Preach.
on the new AI section of its website, that's interesting, "We think machine learning is a compelling technology with a lot of merit, but the path generative AI is on is wrong for us." So
Agreed.
the announcements attracted widespread praise from creators online who are discontent with how other companies have handled the increasing deluge of generative AI clips. Clip Studio Rival, which is a rival sort of illustration app, scrapped plans to introduce image generation features after the announcement was condemned by its user base. Other companies, like drawing tablet maker Wacom and Magic the Gathering owner Wizards of the Coast, have also issued apologies for using AI-generated assets in their products, following similar community reactions.
Like it's crazy to me when your market is mainly artists, and
you're
you're
still-
surprised. They're like, "Wait, y'all don't like generative AI? Oh, I hadn't thought about it. Y'all really don't like this?" It's just I know it's ripping off all your work and generating what you take months to make in seconds.
And ultimately, it's kind of denying you a job in a sense. Like,
Yeah.
we're putting it in our product that you use, but eventually you won't be an artist anymore if we have our way, because the generative AI will just, just exist anyway. And it'll generate the commissions that you'd be getting. So,
Well, look, I rarely have anything good to say about Apple hardware or software, but hey, Procreate gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, so just shout outs to them. Thought it was a nice small thing. Nothing major, but kind of cool. You got any more stories?
I have the impossibly small controller.
Oh, okay. I love me a weird story.
So
I love me a weird story.
CRKD launches impossibly small keychain controller.
Okay, send me a
So
link.
here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
CRKD, like tiny controller or whatever. Something like that.
Yep.
Okay, anyways, continue. Sorry.
So CRKD has launched a brand new, incredibly small Atom controller, which doubles as a keychain. CRKD and tiny controllers go hand in hand. The brand, which started with the iconic Nitro deck, I've never heard of this, how dare they say iconic, already has the Neo S controllers for Nintendo Switch. So they made a tiny controller for a handheld of all things. Now, the brand's controllers have gotten impossibly small with the launch of the brand new Atom collectible keychain controller. The Atom controller is designed to be taken on the go. Well, it better be. Its accompanying wrist strap ensures it can be secured during play or attached to keychains, lanyards, and backpacks. So, typically we have like wrist wraps for, like those
Yeah.
motion controllers and stuff. But I guess this thing is so small, it could probably just like slip out of your hands.
Yeah.
So it really
I'm
needs
looking at
one.
this thing and this is so tiny. Like, huh. With wireless Bluetooth tech in tow, the Atom controller can hook up to the Nintendo Switch, PC, Mac, and a range of smartphones, tablets, and smart devices. It may not have the bells and whistles of the Nitro Deck Plus, but it can provide up to 10 hours of battery life and charge with a micro USB-C to USB-A adapter if you need more juice. What? Okay. I get that this is cute and all. I understand the novelty, but who's actually using this?
So that's my number one question. I can't figure out why you would want a tiny controller. Like, maybe if you have small hands, like really small hands.
Like, it's cute, but using those tiny little Joy-Cons in the Nintendo Switch is already hard enough. Like, I don't. This just doesn't seem comfortable or ergonomic, really. I mean, I get that it's like meant to be taken on the go. So I guess here's the use case I suppose I could see here. And it's not amazing, but like I'm trying here. You know how like there are some times when you could just use a controller for like a game briefly, like on a trip maybe, or like something comes up. I guess that's kind of what it's supposed to be, because you could literally toss this in a backpack and it's like an eighth of the size of like your
If you
Xbox
toss that in
controller.
a backpack, you're gonna lose it.
I mean, it's got a lanyard. You could clip it or just like tie it around.
Attach it. It doubles as a keychain.
Yeah. I mean, because you could have it on your keys, right? Like, so now you just have a controller and it's.
It
Yeah.
would be really easy to sneak into school.
But then what would you play though? Because you still have to connect it to something.
I mean, you have to figure that part out. But they're providing you with a controller that's very easy to sneak around and conceal. Like they can't do it all for you, Paul. Like you gotta do something.
Yeah, that's true. The eye-popping color range consists of 8 unique variations. Huh. I mean, they look cool. It kind of has that 90s sort of retro-y tech look, I would say.
Like the impressive part to me is that like I looked it up and there are people who are actually like real interested in this thing. Like they can't wait to get their hands on their tiny controller.
It's $19.99, not a bad price. So I don't know. Would you guys let us know? Would you pick up? I just don't see the use case. I get the novelty. I just don't see the use case.
It's funny. They have, and CRKD has made quite a few controllers from what I can tell. And they're much larger than this, and they do have their niches on the internet. This one, I might have to get one and just find out,
Fuck around and find out. Well, I've got a fun story to maybe send us off, and depending on if you have another one after this.
What you got?
Single girls are using ChatGPT
Single ladies.
to expose men for lying about their height on dating apps. Yeah, you little liars. Size matters to super selective singletons swiping left or right in the search for love. So rather than coming up short, some mini men have begun misleading ladies online, falsifying their underwhelming heights to appear taller. But now, thanks to artificial intelligence, once gullible gals are wising up. So, you're probably like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah. I'm offended.
Yeah, the girls are using ChatGPT to see if men are lying about their height on dating apps, announced Justine Moore, a venture capitalist from San Francisco, to a staggering 361,000 X users. So basically what you can do is upload 4 pictures to ChatGPT, and it uses proportions and surroundings to estimate height. So basically, yeah, like I would take 4 different pictures of Alec. So I guess if I see you on Tinder or whatever, I'll take 4 different pictures and I'll put them in ChatGPT, and it's going to, use its AI and kind of all that smart stuff to estimate your height based on everything that it sees in those pictures and the perspective and just all of that. This person says, I tested on 10 friends and family members, adding photographic proof of the bot's appraisal of her loved ones. All estimates were within 1 inch of their real height.
Okay, but we're typically lying with about 1 inch of our height, so.
Yeah, so the idea now is that, women are tired of these. I'm sorry, I just read something so dumb. It seems the sun has officially set on Short King Spring. There's like
When did
hot
we
girl
start
summer,
Short King Spring?
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so now if you're lying about your height on a dating app, you can sort of put them to the test and see if they are telling the truth.
Oh, look, you know what I'm doing right now, Paul? You know what I'm doing right now?
Are you going to get on ChatGPT and like...
I am downloading pictures of myself from the internet, and I'm going to upload them to ChatGPT and have it tell me how tall it thinks I am.
Yeah, they say you need to have at least 4.
I got 4.
Now, I don't know what type of pictures they're supposed to be. I guess it probably needs to maybe be pictures that either show another person or maybe like show some sort of a setting or a background would be my guess. And then throw it in there and be like, how tall would you estimate this man is? That's what this person asked.
That's what I'm doing.
Prompt. I'm curious.
How tall is the man in these pictures?
I want to know what you get. You should screenshot it so I can visualize it, like put it on the pod, and people can see if you're.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll screenshot it. I'm very curious what this is about to sell me.
And in fact, you need to say the height, but then we're not going to confirm how tall you are in real life, and we'll just leave it to the viewers to...
It says, I'm unable to directly analyze or determine specific measurements such as height from the images you provided. However, if you can provide context or additional details like the height of objects around the person or any known information, it might be able to assist. Well, I don't know how large the objects in these pictures are.
Well,
but I did specifically look for pictures that were pretty much, it was just me in a space.
Yeah, so you probably...
there were no other people.
Yeah, so you probably need like maybe a couple group photos or like photos next to like common objects would be my guess. But anyway, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of a fun little story. You can use ChatGPT to expose the liars on Tinder and Bumble.
I was just curious because it does make some sense that an AI algorithm could figure out relative sizes of things.
I'm gonna give it
Is that the most useful thing you can be doing with the technology? Probably not. Does that just further harm the relationships between men and women online?
Yeah, I think it makes the heart or the height kind of discourse stuff even worse. I mean, in a time where we're already men and women are already at odds with each other so much in the dating world, it's unfortunate that this exists. But then I guess one might argue, well, you shouldn't have lied about your height to begin with.
But the thing is, we're not lying. We're just we're just kind of faking it till we make it,
Yeah.
If I say I'm 5'10" enough times, one day something's gonna read that I'm 5'10", and you're gonna have to, and that's how it is now.
I guess the darker side of this too, though, is okay, so maybe there's some guy who's like, oh, I'm 6 foot, and then you use this thing and it proves he's lying, he's 5'10", or something like that. But also, like, there's also just guys who don't list a height at all, and if she still throws this stuff on the dating app and then rejects, or in ChatGPT and then rejects him because ChatGPT's AI thing told her he was 5'7", or it's
Like,
it's very
Chat GPT said you was 4'3". How do you figure?
I don't love these sorts of things, but I thought it was a novel story nonetheless. So cool.
So I do have one more story.
Okay, I'm here for it.
I need you to understand I am in mourning.
You're in mourning, all right.
I am in mourning. I'm unhappy. You know why?
Why?
Because Star Wars The Acolyte TV show was canceled this week.
Yay! Go woke, go broke. That's what I saw somebody post about online.
I'm gonna miss this show. It
it only got one season then, correct?
Yep, one season, just one and done.
You know what's funny? I remember when we talked about like the trailer first launching just earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And I know that there was controversy around like, the diversity scene in the show. Too many women, too many people of color. How dare they? So
ID.
some people were, I guess preying on its downfall.
It's such a shame because the show endeavored to tell a different kind of Star Wars story while still trying to give us a lot of things we liked about Star Wars originally. The number one thing people think about when if I say Star Wars is they think of Jedi. And what do they think about when I say Jedi? Lightsabers. They want to see lightsaber battles. And if there was any one thing this show did, is it gave us lightsaber battles. They weren't trying to tell us this galactic story on a wide scale that you have to watch, 3 movies and 6 TV shows to get the full scope of. They were telling a grounded story about people, and it was a bit of a mystery. It was a bit of a revenge tale. It was a new direction for a Star Wars story, and it wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it. By the time the series or the season had ended, I was like, I really want to see what they're gonna do next. Like that was actually pretty good. And now I'll never know.
Yeah, I think the thing I don't like about its sort of failure is it kind of diminishes or further tarnishes. I'm gonna be careful with my words here. So there are a lot of people who are like cheering on this to fail, or they see this as like it's proof that you go woke, go broke, it deserved to whatever. It had a woman in it, and all these things. But like, I don't know. I mean, I think it feels like it almost dilutes the Star Wars brand more by canceling it, because it just, to me, it's like it's sort of indicating, didn't get the sales numbers we wanted, didn't get the viewership numbers we wanted, so we're pulling the plug. And now, like, Acolyte, instead of getting a sequel that it likely had intended to have, now just gets to exist as this weird one-off thing that maybe that's fine. I don't know.
No, you're right. It does ultimately hurt the wider Star Wars franchise to have incomplete stories like that.
Yeah,
It does harm the franchise, and I really want to focus on why the series failed, because it's not what people online are talking about.
What pretty much the failing of it, would you say?
So there are reasons to be critical of the show about its plotting and pacing, the characters, designs. You could criticize all that, but none of that has anything to do with why The Acolyte was canceled.
Okay.
The Acolyte was canceled because its budget was sky high, and Disney Plus and many streamers right now are very critical of like big budget projects. Like
they're not making the returns that
they have such lofty ambitions with these shows. They invest a stupid amount of money in them. The casting, shooting, production, everything takes forever. It's super expensive. And then so the numbers these shows have to hit is astronomical. And the thing is, they are like, oh, but it can happen because they look at the Star Wars potential market, and you see that there are millions and millions of people within this market.
Yeah.
But when you can't make a work that appeals to, like, if you're making one piece of art, you
Yeah.
cannot make one piece of art that appeals to millions of people unless you kind of dilute all the art within it. I think The Acolyte was a piece of art. I think it had firm direction. I think it was definitely moving in a direction that an artist intended it to. But that means it cannot and it could not appeal to as many people as Disney Plus needed it to in order for them to greenlight a second season. This isn't the MCU where we just kind of tell a bunch of non-stories so that millions of people will buy tickets. Like, yeah, if you wash away the art in a franchise, yes, you can make something that appeals to millions of people at a time. But The Acolyte needed a lower budget. I mean, I think most TV shows nowadays need to become much more conservative with their budgeting unless they're okay with just spitting out some superhero filth that just
I mean, it's so. I can't speak too much to The Acolyte specifically. Haven't seen it, and I don't really watch Star Wars much, so I don't know what it necessarily like needed to do and needed to be to succeed for the average Star Wars interested viewer. But what I will say is that I agree with you that like it'd be nice to see shows perhaps a little closer to the ground in terms of ambitions and budget. It's tricky with Star Wars though, because Star Wars just by its nature is very demanding on like the CG department. Like even telling just kind of a non-epic, there's still just so many elements of Star Wars that are like they just have to be CG. And so you're just gonna have to pay a lot for those special effects and like you were saying, there were a lot of battles. So if
and
there were a
that's
lot
expensive.
of battles, then I know that was that stuff's really expensive to shoot. So it might just be that maybe Star Wars is the sort of thing that doesn't lend itself well to this format. I might be reaching with that statement.
No, I do think you're right. I think it's hard to tell these smaller stories in video. Maybe I think with like books and comic books, it's fine. Those are written mediums. They're much cheaper to produce and then disseminate into the world. But in video, Star Wars is very, very expensive. So even if you want to tell a low to the ground, more niche, more character driven story, the budget doesn't line up with the type of like story you're telling.
Yeah, the world that they inhabit is just demands it.
It's hard. If you compare the MCU to the Netflix Marvel series, right?
Yeah, they were similar.
We stripped
case.
off a lot of the the CG that we use in the MCU. They use as many practical effects as they possibly could.
And a lot of it, I mean, just even the location filming, it's just,
And those shows were still very expensive for Netflix. I mean, that's why ultimately why they ended. They were still too expensive for Netflix's pocketbook. But Star Wars is worse, right?
Would you say that maybe Star Wars is your weekly media recommendation? People should watch The Acolyte? Because I fear that, like, with it getting canceled, I mean, I don't know if you had something else in mind, but just with it getting canceled, I feel like...
No, you're right.
There's been so much negative press about that. Like, a lot of people will just never see it now. Or, like, they'll probably see it.
I'll say this. If you didn't have anything against The Acolyte and you haven't seen it, you should try it out.
Yeah.
I do think it's a worthwhile entry into the Star Wars like mythos. And it has some really cool moments within it. And also, if you hated The Acolyte from the start and you just did not wanted to see it succeed, I say you should try it out. Why? Because, well, it's canceled already. It can't hurt you anymore. So just see what they made. Maybe you'll have more things to be... Yeah, like it's over now. You might as well see it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that there will be people who do get around to giving it a shot. Like, shit, if you're paying for the recently increased Disney Plus subscription prices, that was a story I had a few weeks ago. I just decided not to bring it up because it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, they did recently increase their subscription prices for Disney Plus. Yep. So shit, you're paying that much. If you're a Star Wars diehard, give it a shot, right?
But right now, And they probably won't, just because right now the biggest trait of being a Star Wars diehard is hating Star Wars.
Yeah. Too much
But
woke mind virus. Sorry, I'm getting carried out of hand.
it is. Look, no, I get it, Paul. Look, I was told I wasn't allowed to be a Lord of the Rings fan.
Oh yeah,
And
that's true.
there are people now saying that I'm not allowed to be a Star Wars fan. Like I pay them no mind. Just try out the Acolyte. It actually was pretty good. Not a masterpiece, but pretty good.
Well, I think that's a good segue. Not even really a great segue, but it's a segue into the pot of greed viewer question.
Yeah, we've been yapping about what we want to talk about, but now we can yap about what you want to talk about.
So we actually have a few pretty fun like Yu-Gi-Oh questions today.
Okay.
I think you'll like them. So
Specifically Yu-Gi-Oh questions. All right.
well, there's also I think one that's not a Yu-Gi-Oh question. Given the chance, which Millennium item would you choose to have and why? For reference, here's kind of a little recap. The Millennium Puzzle gives you a proficiency boost to problem solving. The Millennium Eye lets you peer into souls or read minds. The Millennium Ring, the ability to locate whatever you seek. The Millennium Scale, you can detect how dubious a person you are talking to is in a quantifiable way. So you can kind of see into their heart and see in their,
This feels like a
good or bad.
tabletop game.
Millennium Key, you can change a person's soul to your whims. The Millennium Rod, mind control, and the Millennium Necklace is the ability to see into the past and future. This is coming from Big Cooge.
Oh, Kuj at it again.
So which Millennium
Oh, that's
item you
tough,
picking?
man. There's actually a lot of Millennium items. The sheer level of violation you can have on other person is insane.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A
items.
lot of these seem like they're very, like, when you look at it, basically only like the Millennium Ring and the Millennium Puzzle are sort of, and arguably the necklace are like the only ones that it's not like violating someone's mind and soul and like looking into their heart and controlling them.
I can read your mind. I can control your mind. I can change your soul.
I would say like the easy answer that I think most people would probably want is like either the Millennium Eye or the Rod, right?
Right.
Like just because like that's what the villains use, and obviously the villains are gonna exploit their power to like the maximum potential. Because we see Merrick just make a bunch of mind servants, and Pegasus cheats and wins everything, and always knows what you're saying and thinking. So, like in a practical sense, those would probably just be the best ones. Personally, for me though, I think it would be kind of cool to just I don't know, like something like the Millennium Scale or Key might be neat. Like I guess they're just not that useful. Like, seeing if someone's lying.
Well, think about it this way. Think about it this way. If no one can ever lie to you, that's actually a pretty, or like, even if they did lie to you, you would know they're lying. If you always knew if someone was lying, that means you would have an advantage in just about every single discussion or like conflict mediation. Like, that's a huge advantage. So you might as well become a detective at that point. With a 100% like chance of closing cases.
So you're picking the scale?
No.
What are you picking?
I'm picking the key.
You want the key? Mm-hmm. Change a person's soul to your whims.
If I can change someone's soul, that means I could never have an enemy.
I guess that's true. You could even arguably improve people's lives if you so chose.
I'm not interested in all that. I'm just interested in myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would just maybe go with like the Millennium Scale, or the boring answer would be the Millennium Puzzle. But like I remember in the show, I was always like, "What the fuck is Yugi's Millennium power?" Like he never actually like. I guess it's having the Pharaoh or whatever, sort of, and like being the king of games. But like it felt like everybody else could do a thing with their item, whereas Yugi just is sort of like dueling.
So I've actually always wondered about the puzzle, because in my opinion, I don't think the puzzle actually gave Yugi a power at all. Because the Pharaoh being trapped in the puzzle, my understanding was that was separate from what the puzzle's purpose was. And he just possesses Yugi and then conquers everything. Like, I actually don't know what the puzzle did at all in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, according to this prompt, it's a proficiency boost to problem solving. And like I kind of buy that. Like the thing is though, Yugi
had to problem solve to open it, to put the thing together.
Well, it seems like they already characterized Yugi as being like good at solving puzzles and riddles in games. So like, I don't know that it improved his proficiency at that, but
Because like whenever anyone else was holding the Millennium Puzzle, it didn't seem to do anything for them. It just deprived Yugi of Yami.
right. So yeah, I guess it didn't have much of a power. Well, either way, next question is, oh, okay, if Kazuki Takahashi was still alive and you could ask him one question, what would it be?
Just one question?
Just one. Okay.
Oh my gosh, just one?
My question.
That man has like every Yu-Gi-Oh answer that could ever exist, and we only get one question.
Yeah, like I have like ones that I would personally like to know. Like, okay, my first question that comes to mind is I would just want to ask him like, what do you think of what Yu-Gi-Oh is today? Like how it turned out, how the game is played, perceived, you know, the card design, link monsters, just what do you think of like kind of Yu-Gi-Oh today?
But see, that's a leading question. You're asking that with the assumption that he won't like it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's why I don't know if that's not like my question. That's just kind of more of a like, I'm curious, and it'd be like a fun headline. Like Kazuki Takahashi says he's ashamed with how Yu-Gi-Oh turned out. But I think for me personally, I think I would want to know more specifics. I don't have like a one question, but more specifics around like some of the mystique that was in his head as he designed just certain monsters. Like, you know, like last week we were talking about some of those old horror kind of macabre style designs Yu-Gi-Oh had. Like, is there any lore that's just in his head around like the conception of Dark Magician and Relinquished and just... It's hard to put that into one question, but that's kind of what I would want to know. I'd love to just pick his brain about like that.
So my question's similar. I would like to know what his intent, like what was his beginning, middle, and end of Yu-Gi-Oh before Yu-Gi-Oh needed to be stretched into Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, GX, 5D. Like,
yeah.
Before like corporate interests took hold, what was Yu-Gi-Oh supposed to be, and how did you see it ending?
Yeah. I would love to know those things. I mean, I think it's interesting because like many mangaka, he was actually pretty private, it feels like, in his later years. Like, I know they said that he did go to some fan conventions like in Japan occasionally.
But we would see a picture of Takahashi like once every few years.
Yeah, you didn't get oftentimes like a new updated picture of him or like kind of meet and greets. And probably understandably, like, you know, maintaining your privacy is probably a big deal as a mangaka, but like, I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one about Pokemon, actually. This is from OG Duelist.
OG?
Normally a day one Yu-Gi-Oh fan, but my question today is about Pokemon. As a Gen 1er, I'm well aware I'm no longer the target audience. Actually, debatable.
Depends on the marketing.
However, I'd really love if Pokemon Company took some steps to keep their 30-plus Gen 1er audience, besides small Easter eggs in games or nostalgic TCG sets. I would love A, more gritty and realistic anime shorts like Pokemon Origins, B, ports of the older games on Switch, and C, more quality remakes, unlike the half-baked product that was Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Which leads me to my question. Have you seen the 4-episode Pokemon Origins anime? It's a gritty anime that brings chills to my spine with nostalgia and quality animation. Have you seen Pokemon
remember
Origins?
Pokemon Origins.
I think
that was the one where what was it? Yeah, the Charmander gets like bitten on the tail and he cries off.
This. Yeah. I've seen this.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, honestly, I think that they should make more of that. Like, I know it's not the same thing, but do you remember Pokemon Generations?
Yeah. I think I've seen all the kind of short Pokemon series.
Yeah, Generations was the one where they would it's kind of like these isolated parts of different bits of the Pokemon stories and games. Mm-hmm. I don't know, yeah, more of that would be cool. I don't have much more to say about them other than just that they were really well done, and
I just like that they're not locked into the same animation style as the anime. They're not locked into the same rules and expectations as like the main anime. And so you end up, at least in my opinion, with better animation, more interesting stories, even if they're short. And they're oftentimes, more tied to the games that we played and fell in love with.
Yeah. More of that. I mean, not to take it too Yu-Gi-Oh-ish, but honestly, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh needs the same. But that's a separate
Yeah, back
conversation.
to Gen 1. Back to Gen 1. Let's go back before Konami had the game. Bandai cards.
Real quick, do you have a favorite Pokemon generation?
I want to say.
Like, I'm definitely a
So,
Gen 3 kid, so.
so my boomer answer is Gen 2.
Okay.
In practice, it's probably Gen 4.
Yeah, for me, I was torn
Think Gen
between 3 and
4.
4, but I think 3 is where I really developed my love for Pokemon as a kid, and 4 is just kind of where it continued. So, one of those two.
Because, like, I just have because I was young playing the original Pokemon games, so I didn't always understand what I was doing and what I was playing. But I think by Gen 4, I was old enough and mature enough to understand the games a lot better, and that's where we had like multiplayer, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess
And I
they've always
remember,
had multiplayer, but this is like
but they
wireless
had I
multiplayer.
forget what was the feature in
Wi-Fi was in Gen 4 as well. That's when they
yeah,
first
like
introduced that.
Diamond and Pearl, right? That is
Yeah.
Diamond and Pearl. Yeah. In Diamond and Pearl, they had the underground system, and you can
Yeah.
play with like your friends. I
Yeah, that
remember
was so
doing a lot
cool.
of that in school. So ultimately, Gen 4 becomes my favorite, even if like the boomer in me screams Johto.
Well, anyways, our last question is from Dre. In today's Yu-Gi-Oh, compared to the earlier days of the TCG, how would you guys define skill? And how has that definition changed over time? I feel the game transitioned from playing chess to playing complicated checkers.
I don't think so.
I've got a lot of thoughts, and it could really be very much its own Nicole episode.
So using so I don't think Dre is wrong with the chess and checkers comparison, but the problem is there's this negative connotation around chess versus checkers. Because checkers is supposed to be the simple game. Oh, you just gotta hop over all their pieces, and chess is supposed to be the very complicated game. But if you look at what the win condition is in chess versus checkers, it actually does line up a little bit of what we see in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh now, we're not taking as many risks and gambles with our cards. We're
Yeah.
more so set it. We're putting we.
I think I get what you're saying.
I got it. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
We are proposing a puzzle to our opponent. We build a board and then we ask them, "Can you break this?" It's kind of like you looking at a checkers board, and can you see the move that lets you just hop over all their pieces? If you don't, then your turn passes, and then they hop over all yours. Because it's
Yeah.
this like all you win all at once in Yu-Gi-Oh now, right? It's just
Yeah. I
either you break their board or you don't.
I get you. I think
But in older days, it
it
was
did
more
feel
of
like
a
there was
matter
more
of
risk and
there was so much tug of war in Yu-Gi-Oh in the old days. Let me not make that motion with my hand before I get disqualified from a Pokemon tournament. But
yeah.
there was more push and pull because being right in like GOAT format doesn't mean you win the match. It just means you win an interaction. You have to string together multiple right guesses in order to win.
Right. I think the skills needed have like shifted some. I think that there's like more emphasis is placed on kind of prediction a little bit. Like there's kind of it's always been like that, like kind of predicting maybe what your opponent has and things like that. But nowadays is poker a good analogy or a bad one? I'm always careful with like, do I want to? Because a lot of people say like, oh, this such and such is like poker. It kind of is. Like when you look at how like hand traps and like board breaking and stuff works, like maybe you could.
I would say so. blackjack and poker are two different games, but they're very similar. And I would refer to modern Yu-Gi-Oh as being more like blackjack, and then older Yu-Gi-Oh being more like poker.
Okay.
Where in one, like, poker is mostly about bluffing. Why? Because your cards are dealt immediately. You know what your hand is. You don't know what the dealer's gonna flip over. And by betting and bluffing, you and your opponents kind of suss out what you all have.
Yeah.
So it feels like that to me, because it's a long, I don't, you know what, the more I talk about it, the more I lose the plot of my own.
Yeah. No, I get you. I think this is something that
This is tough.
being asked on the spot is kind of difficult, but I could talk for ages about it. I'll just suffice it with this. This is kind of what I'll say. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays is a much greater test of immediate decision making and immediate problem solving, with like very high stakes, as opposed to kind of an elongated tug of war. I know that's
In a weird
vague.
way, maybe the game actually hasn't changed all that much. It's just now in Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to do all of your guesswork in the one turn.
Yeah. Oh, I've made this exact comparison actually, or this exact like analysis of it. Is that like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh games, people like, oh, I miss the old days when the game's like 7, 8, 10, 20 turns or whatever. It's like, it's the same amount of net cards played and interactions and stuff made, but they're all crunched kind of into about 2 turns worth, 2 or 3 turns worth. Really like 1 or 2 turns worth. And that increased pace due to like, okay, your opponent can combo really fast, but you've got like hand traps. Yeah, I don't know what I'm getting at, but yeah, yeah.
Because in the old style Yu-Gi-Oh, in these more elongated games, the card draw of each turn can drastically change the board state each and every turn.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, our hands start with 5 cards. One person's gonna have 6, so my 5 cards need to be able to get me into everything I think I need to beat your 6 cards.
Yeah.
And your 6 cards need to be able to get into whatever you need to get into to beat my 5. And so now you're just guessing. It's a matter of, so do I know what my opponent's playing? Do I know what their common lines are? Do I know what the weaknesses of those lines are? Do I know what their counterplay to my lines are? Because a good Yu-Gi-Oh player knows their plays, they know their opponent's plays, and they know what they need to do to stop their opponent's plays.
Yeah.
And it's actually incredibly complicated at that high level. It seems simple because it all happens in like a couple turns. But
no,
that's a
you're
lot
right.
of...
The more I watch like these high level like YCS feature matches, the more I'm like, yeah, it seems like it's a lot. Like sitting up there and like kind of quickly making these calculations and these minute whatever. Anyways, yes, the skill set of Yu-Gi-Oh has changed a lot. That might honestly be a good, like, we're kind of overdue for one of these podcast episodes where we just kind of like do a lot of pot of greed questions, because we maybe have more time to like think on something like that. But it is a good question. And it also reminds me, if you guys want to submit questions to
Gotta hit the link in the description.
the pot of greed, you can just use the link in the description to submit them. We love checking them out. And we will probably do an episode pretty soon, eventually, where we kind of like just answer a bunch to sort of
We're gonna empty the pot.
empty the pot, so to speak. The pot will be back, by the way. The physical pot is in a moving box right now, but you'll see it. You'll see it, I promise. Okay. Last thing, I guess I have to give my recommendation.
Your media recommendation, because mine will be The Acolyte.
So I might have already recommended this, but a book that I've been reading recently is called Surrounded by Idiots. And is a book that I got at that big bookstore in Portland called like Powell's Books or whatever. And so it's by Thomas Erickson, and the title might have you think it's like a very pretentious book where it's like it's about human behavior and how to effectively communicate with them in business and in life. And it might make it sound like, oh, he's saying everybody around you is idiots and you're just having to talk to them.
I'm the only intelligent.
Yeah, I'm the only intelligent one, and it's actually the exact opposite of what the title is, which is to say, like, without going into too many details, he sort of describes, like, when he was younger, he thought, like, why is it that when I talk to these people, it's like easy, but then like I can't get along with these people, or these people are always abrasive, or whatever, or I can't reason with my partner, and it just seems like everybody else is an idiot. But he says pretty early on that, like, if you think this, then you are the idiot. If you think that
Right.
everyone's an idiot because of how they don't get what you're saying, or don't respond the way that you want, that doesn't make them the idiot. And if you think it does, then you're the idiot. But what you should instead do is, understand people, see the value in people, and that's kind of what the book is about. So I'm not completely through the book. I've just been reading it on like different flights and trips and stuff. But it's a good recommendation. You can get it on Kindle. You can obviously get like a hardcover one for like $15. So if you're like reading, that would definitely be my my recommend for the week.
Would you say this book has changed the way that you communicate with people?
I guess I haven't put too much of it into practice yet, but it kind of does this thing where it describes people as like in personality types, like red, yellow, blue, green. And there's like different things that those personality types kind of look for, or, things like that. So I think when I'm done, I want to try to apply some of it and see if it improves my communications with people in real life or even like online or other things. So I guess I can get back with a full review eventually once I'm done with it. But I do recommend it because I've been enjoying it so far. It's great when your phone's dead on a flight or something, or you weren't able to download anything to watch. So
Couldn't be me. I always have something to watch.
cool. So I guess that's this week's Pod of Greed.
That's a wrap.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Remember, if you did, give it a thumbs up or give it a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave us a question, of course.
By hitting the link in the description.
Yeah. And catch us at Anime NYC this weekend if you're going to be there.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.